Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club podcast. I'm Mr. C of Roca Critic. How are you doing today? I am doing very well. Um, because I have our first, not entirely Nollywood content that we discuss on the space slash podcast. That's a space. Um, but yeah, UNESCO and Netflix combined to give us a Pan African anthology series, which I don't know if there's going to be a season two. That feels kind of like Juju's stories, but like for for Africa and but not entirely because it's supposed to be like reimagined versions. But yeah, because there are six shorts, like maybe not all of them get their equal weighting. We're obviously probably more partial to the Nigerian one in the discussion. I don't think you'll see it in our leanings for the most part. But yeah, you get to hear people rank and what order they liked each of the shorts. So I do hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing African Folktales Reimagined. No. Happy to
Okay.
start the space. All right. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We discuss Nollywood movies or Nollywood discussions these now every Sunday, 6 p.m. Watt. Today we are doing our first non-complete Nollywood film. Yeah, I know, crazy. African Folktales Reimagined. This is a Pan-African anthology that dropped on Netflix original, in joint hands with UNESCO, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Anyway, but that's that. We're gonna discuss the good, the bad, and we'll do a summary later on of
When do we do our rankings? During the good or during the summary?
doing the summary.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense then. All right. All right, Vanessa, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about African Folktales Reimagined?
Honestly, I don't even know how to approach this space, but I guess general goods. I liked a lot of the cinematography in this. There were some really beautiful films in this. Like by beautiful, I mean just how they were shot. There were some really gorgeous shots. Like I would freeze frame randomly and it would still be like some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Um I also really liked the diversity in locations. I mean, especially because it might seem like such a silly thing, but especially because this is a Nollywood film club and current Nollywood isn't particularly well known for its diversity in locations. It feels very one note 90% of the time. But a lot of this just felt really nice to see different look. Even in the one that was the Nigerian film, it wasn't shot in Lagos, it wasn't shot in Abuja, it wasn't shot in Enugu. It wasn't shot in any of the expected locations. And it was lovely to see. And it also didn't feel like they shot in one place. It's like even if they shot in one location in Nigeria, it still felt very like diverse. So yeah, I really like the diversity in locations in this. Um, I think, okay. What's another good I liked? I guess I I really like the acting in this as well. I know a lot of them didn't have a lot of dialogue. Like quite a number didn't have a lot of like heavy dialogue, which is something I actually also really liked. It wasn't a lot of them weren't expository at all. But the acting was a lot of people had to rely on just like acting versus saying words. I think one of those ones was the one about the jinn. I think that's the Mauritanian one. And the grandma, she was giving. She was giving acting. It was really, really good. So the acting in this, like on a ratio, it was definitely on the higher side. Like the acting in this was really good. It was nice to see a couple familiar faces, which is weird because there are not a lot. But the lead guy in the, what's it called, in the Nigerian one, he's not like familiar to me, but I know his face from somewhere, and I like seeing him in that. The Kenyan one, the one about Anyango, the young lady who played Anyango, I've seen her quite a number of times in Loladi's productions. I've only seen her, I think I've seen her twice now, and I've seen her play like rom-com-esque roles. So I liked her in this. I just liked seeing her in this. It was nice to see someone that I recognized. What else is it good? Is my time almost up?
No, you have still
Okay.
have.
What else was it good for me? Ooh, the soundtracks. I actually liked a lot of the music in this. It was really beautiful. Oh, before soundtrack, shout out to the woman in the film about the woman who wanted a baby, and the, what's it called? It's called
Katope.
Katope. Yes, that's me. I called it Katope. I said it in Yoruba. Then they now said it. Oh, Idu.
I mean, it doesn't have the KP sound, but it is Katope.
Yeah, but they
pronounce that name in the film.
They pronounce the name as
Yes.
Katope. They pronounce the name as Katope,
Katope.
no? But me, I call it
Did you have
Katope.
a P? I thought they had the air.
It was.
I thought they had
said
the air sound.
Katope. This say Katope.
Ha.
It's Katope.
Well, we want
Yeah.
pronunciation.
But me,
that
I
one.
heard Katope. Me, I was already saying let's give thanks. Katope. And then they now, when she now give thanks for the baby, I said, oh, is him. But the woman in that too she was acting her butt off. I really like that. The mother, that is. What else was another good? Ooh, yes, costuming. Oof. Hmm. The costuming, I will give like super like props to Lukman Ali's one, the first one. The Lukman Ali's one, the costuming in that was really good. The costuming in the rain calling ceremony was beautiful. The costuming in the desert in the beginning of the Jinn one, I actually really liked that. The way it was moving with the wind, and there was a lot of movement in that. I really enjoyed seeing that. I also really enjoyed seeing a diversity in worship / religions on in all of this. Like, we had, the rain calling people, and like this was their practice, and like we saw that whole ritual, and it was gorgeous. Then in the Jinn one, grandma was constantly on her prayer mat, and I just really liked seeing that as well. It was very nice. What else was it good? I like that they were all about 25-minute-ish long. I like that they were short. I don't think any of them dragged on for too long. Which is a good thing, because sometimes shorts don't feel like shorts, even though they're shorts. I don't know if that makes sense. But like, when you're watching a show and you expect this to be 30 minutes long, and for whatever reason, it just feels like it's going on and on, maybe because it's expository or they're saying too much and not and they're not showing enough. A lot of these didn't, and I think maybe it's because there weren't a lot of words in a lot of them. A lot of these didn't feel like tales. It was a very much show, not tell type anthology, and I really enjoyed that as well. These are just general goods.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. This is where my lack of any Pan-African actor is gonna. Vanessa going, yeah, I recognize this one's face from this place.
You know
that
what?
one's
Yeah,
face.
the guy in Halima's Choice, when he was done, we were like, is that Gabriel? I guess I was like, no, it's not. It's not.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you know
of
somewhere
course.
you can recognize him from. He's the guy.
I,
The film is not out yet though. He's the guy in Uzo Amaka's Anonu's directorial debut.
I remember.
Go and look for the trailer.
remember.
I remember.
I remember. Okay.
That's him.
Okay. No, I think
Yeah, that's him.
because I did the Nolly data for that and I recognized the name. I was like, where do I know that name from?
That's
But
him.
yes, it's all right. Okay. Thanks, Vanessa. I think next is Fi.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the things you like.
Hi. Okay.
Oh,
Hello. So, first of all, starting off with everything, I really like the theme of this anthology. I liked how it was like African folklore combined with futuristic elements, and it was really cool. So, starting off with Katera of the Punishment Land, I love the title. I looked at this film with softer eyes because I've now regarded Lukman Ali as film club sweetheart since Brotherhood. And there are different things that I liked about it. Like, I liked the opening scene, the wide shots, the water and the boat scene. I liked Katera's character and the older man as well. I felt like Katera felt more like a woman because of what she'd experienced. She had intensity in her eyes with a will and conviction towards what she wanted. And what she wanted was made simple. I liked her character, so strong, defiant, and determined. And it was really cool to see her in action. I also liked the older man and his mother too. I found the friend was funny with the way he delivered that they were about to hang her boo. I liked the teaching scenes between her and the man. I liked when the grandmother came in with a short gun to say that they should teach her with it. I liked the story to an extent. More on that later. I also love the cinematography and shots of the landscape. It was really good. Next one, Halima's Choice. First of all, shout out to Korede Aziz. Really nice story and extremely imaginative. I love the storyline introducing artificial intelligence into northern Nigeria. We already know the North is fixed in their ways, and introducing such a contrast to their society would have been such a conflict for them, and it was captured really well with how they had that adamant stance towards Napata. I liked Halima as a character and Uma, both good looking characters. Halima also had that determination I liked, willing to explore outside her comfort zone in little pockets just to expand her worldview. She was also ready to run away to live a better life. I liked the scene where they connected to the AI world and he got to show her around. I liked how it was simulated with the garden and the fruits and the ability to change worlds. I like that the storyline also involved Halima's marriage to an older man because it felt like that anchored the story into a realistic narrative with a twist. A deeper view into the story, I saw that the AI introduction was really a pocket of escape for Amina and a prolonged escape for the people of Napata. And at the end, Amina has it in her pocket like something she can go to for a quick fix when she runs away. I like the ending scene where she walks from one end of the screen to another. It was so good. I loved all the landscape shots in this anthology, so that was really nice. Anyango and the Ogre, first of all, love all the names once again. I connected to this one because, gosh, one thing I really despise is violence, especially with children. So it was kind of something that I was intent on saving as by watching the story. I was hoping that things would work out for them. I liked how it had the gray zone and the blue zone, the contrast between both zones emotionally and physically. I love the juxtaposition between the boy telling the story and what was really happening in real life. I loved and he was such a good actor. That little boy, I really loved his acting. So many key moments for me. The way it was captured, how he noticed his mom's little tells, like her hand shaking, or her patting her eye to make sure that her black eye was covered. The way he protected his siblings, the way so many things. There was also the end where he took off his shirt and he was like, "Look at what he's done to me." So powerful, so sad. There was another thing that was sentimental. I say sentimental because it was kind of like a real glimpse to the emotional world of the father. That scene where he's standing in front of the mirror and you can see that he also has those scars. I felt like that was so powerful, and that he stopped and looked at his reflection in the mirror and you see the change in his eyes. And I really gave it to that actor for that moment. And you see that change, that contemplation, but he still changes back to who he originally was and chooses to continue what he's doing. And later on in that scene, with the conversation with the mom, the boy and the mom, I just felt like there was that maturity there as well. And at the end where he's like, you said that we're going to leave. Oof. Intense. Then the father stands up and then he turns around and the boy pushes him and he hits his head. And as he laid there in a puddle of blood, I loved when he took the phone and he was like, don't call him, he's going to kill us. Because for me, in this life, it's kill or be killed. And I felt like he just needed to lie down there. So I liked that it ended with them going into the gray zone and seeing, happiness and joy, despite them not having that sort of safety with, a partner. That's what I liked about it. One that really stood out to me again was the Enmity Jinn one. First of all, imagery, visual imagery. Love the desert scenes. Love the different. I like when films do shots of like a masquerade or something in different like scenes, and they really captured that so well. I love the elements of religion, the folklore tale. I love that so much. I love that she could feel the spirit of the jinn and how she handled that situation with the family and the baby once again, making it come back full circle. Love the story. The woman was such a good actress. The story was really nice. Once again, imagery, loved it. Yeah. I also like the other ones afterwards, but like on a general level, following them, cinematography, location shots, storylines were very tight in some. Imagery, what else? The acting, the actors really brought it for most, but especially in Kenya. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, thanks for very detailed. Vanessa, what's up?
Sorry, I just wanted to say that Anyango and the yoga reminded me slightly of a folk tale that my mom and my grandma used to tell me. However, in the story, the babe she didn't have children. But it was about like a young woman who kept rejecting suitors, and then this man comes, pretends to be like this gorgeous rich man and marries her. And then after he marries her from her family home and he takes her home, he becomes like an ogre. And the story that my mom tells me in my mom's language is her trying to escape. And there was a song involved in it, and like counting his snores and how he sounds. And so while I was watching that, it just sort of triggered like memories for me, and I was like, oh wait, like
that might be the folktale they reimagined.
that's
It
what
might
I'm
be because
saying. I'm
we're
like,
all
love.
just
I was
thinking
like,
we've
we're
heard
just
this
African.
story
I was
as
like,
well.
look at us with our little similarities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But also, yeah, if any of these folk tales come up and like it reminds you of anything, call
Yeah,
it
that's the
out.
thing. Because I'm like, I kept watching.
Vanessa, I think that would be Angelikijo's Ori Ori
No,
Lajumoke.
but the thing
That's
is,
the
it
folk
wasn't
tale.
even. I'm sure. That's what I'm saying is like, I'm sure that different African communities have like their own version.
Yeah, I have their
Their
version
own
of
version of this
this.
story, because my mom is Igede from Benue State, Nigeria, and there was a whole different song, and like the thing used to scare me so much because like the song that the girl used to sing when she tries to escape and like she's counting his snores to make sure he's really asleep for her to escape, and like he had 7 doors or something, and like she had to sing to make it out of each gate/door to fully escape. And the way that the story ended in my mom's one was she was running to her father's house, and as she made it through the door, he was right behind her, and just before she could make it into the door, he scratched her back with his fingernail. And according the moral of the story is that's why we have that line.
They have the
That's
line
why
on
we
our
have the
back.
line on our back.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I do remember this.
Yeah, but me is that's the only folktale that me I recognized. So I'm hoping other people recognize other folktales, please, because I don't know if people should help us.
Thanks. Thanks, Vanessa. Elizabeth, I think you're next.
So for this things that I like, let me start with the first. So the Punishment Island, I think for me is how stylized I was. Majorly, I think it was visually appealing. It was very stylized, the colors, and then the cinematography was very intentional. The white shot, the gun, everything that was every decision made by the camera was intentional, and that's what I really liked the most about the first story. The second one, Iango and the Ogre, I really liked it because first the opening scene. I mean, I like that it established the world very quickly. By the second scene, you already know what you are signed up for. I like the acting majorly. The acting was very strong for all the cast, and I mean all, including the little children, including the extras, the women scrambling for food. Um, I like the subtexts, right? I like the subtext of the entire story in which he tells women, it's basically a theme about women and telling women that it's okay to leave the financial security, the societal security that being married gives you. Because this story explores something deeper, and I think that's what I really love it. And it wasn't on the nose, but you can see it. And that at the end they killed their own ogre and then embraced the gloom that comes with being a single mother in this society. I really like that. I like that it wasn't on the nose, but it was just so easy to get. I really love it. I like what they did with the colors, right? Because the blue, I mean, that's what you see. We're told that in a loving family, everything is dandy and great, but single mothers, everything is dull, and then you see that with the grays. But at the end, you can see that they were happy in their own way, and they are free. They are free from the bondage, from the opening gates, and then the tight security, and then most especially the ogre that was there. And like Fi said, I like the juxtaposition of the story. So it makes it so easy, right? I had a problem following, I mean, trying to figure out what laws these stories follow. But like telling the story, the director's artistic decision to show the past and the present, and then use that as mirroring the law. I thought it was wonderful too. It didn't have a lot of dialogue. I really, really love that. So here is you watching a movie, right? The decisions are made by the camera, by the acting, for all the size, for all the twitch, every single thing and it's in the cohesion of the story. You're not lost. Nothing is confused. You're not questioning motives. You're not questioning loose ends. And I just thought it was perfect. And the third story for me, Enmity Jane, I love this. Is another I really loved. I loved Enmity Jane because even more than Ayago and the ogre, it used even fewer words. Even the dialogue was fewer than Ayago, but it was perfect because it tells what it needed to do. The narrator, the narrator was key here. Did the narrating, explain the lore from the beginning, so you're not lost. And then that the moment 75 years later, you're jumping into the story, you can follow through. I like that. It's for me, it's like a callback to old Nollywood with the Christian, evil versus good as a theme. I thought it was wonderful, and how full circle things come. She had fought the gene once, and then this gene she could recognize when it came again. And then see, and they didn't even need to tell us so much of how the gene gets its evil done. Every time the gene appears to somebody, there has to be something. There is a fight, there is a discord, the boy is stealing the bicycle. We didn't even see when he fell with the bicycle, but we saw that the bicycle had broken and he had broken his arm, right? And that is the beauty of storytelling. It doesn't have to, you don't have to use dialogue. You don't have to try to map it to be just let's follow through. So I really like that. And I like that in the end, of course, good one. I thought it was wonderful. I like the colors too. The visual was stunning. Which I don't. Oh, I think I skipped. Yes, I know it. I skipped Alima's choice. Okay. For Alima's choice, sorry, I'm going to write up soon. For Alima's choice, I really love the color. I love the cinematography in Alima. It's not exactly it's subtle in a way where you feel like you're there. You feel like you're embracing it, like it's normal, like it's familiar to you. It's not pretentious, it's not trying to do too much, it's not trying to stay in the center of anything. That's what I love most about it. And I like the colors, the use of costume. I like the moving from one word to the other, and I also like the theme about the tradition versus modernism that it employed. And I thought there was forbidden love in there, but I can't be too sure. And then the ending, I like that. Well, was ambiguous enough for me not to understand. Well, I felt like she chose herself, didn't choose her father's way, and just freed Umar and his ear, and then there to walk the path herself. Or I had another interpretation, but that's for another time. So Katope, for Katope, I liked Katope also. I mean, I liked the first half of it. I thought I really like the stylized also. I like the visual. For the rest, I think that's actually most what I love most is the visual representation of what they were trying to tell. So thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. And oh no, Cynthia's also joined. So Oyinka, I was going to say finally, but yeah, Cynthia has joined.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I like this. It was like a lot of the cinematography I like. So I'll start with Collectra. Sorry, I apologize. I'm going to also make more mistakes on how to pronounce things than I normally do, which is a lot before. Kalatra, the Punishment Island, the Island of Punishment. Um, I liked it. It was a fun, like sort of genre something, and yeah, amazing. Uh, I liked Alima's choice. I like the transition from the real world to the AI, not AI, to the virtual world. And it was wonderful. It was beautiful. I like the colors. I like the Alima's character and like how it sorry it it talks about our choices. I really like Nyango and the Oga. I think it adds one of the best, more cohesive ways in it because also it has very good cinematography. It's kind of the one with the more like 3-act structure, kind of like not it's not it's more clear. It's more of the more clear one. It's more explicit. It's not really engaging that much with like it's it's like more mainstream. More by mainstream I mean just more easier. Like it has the 3-act structure that is more clear. Everybody kind of understands what is going on. It also has like the beautiful cinematographies and all this stuff that all the other ones add. So I think it's going to be the most easiest and the most like accessible out of all of them. And I really, really like it. And it also was one of the ones that got me emotionally. That got me at my heart. I wasn't necessarily just analyzing it in my brain. I was feeling for the kids. I was like, oh my God. And as Farida said, that scene where you see the father stop and contemplate, and I thought that was wonderful. I thought it was just beautiful. In Dimity Jean, I loved, like, oh my gosh. First of all, that masquerade thing scared me. I'm sorry, that's kind of scary. The fact that they just kept on showing it and everything, and in every scene, I'm just like, this thing is very scary. And I have to say, costuming wise, very good choice, amazing, looks wonderful, love it. Even at the end where she like does the prayer and like fades down the gene and the gene is disappearing and we're intercutting between like the past and the present and the baby is just like, okay, wow, that's beautiful. um katope katope I, Katope is wonderful. A lot of good, like, just wonderful, again, cinematography or set design. The story is interesting. It's very, very heavily . The aesthetics are wonderful. and it was kind of a little bit creepy, kind of a little bit creepy, but it got the story out, and it was wonderful too. And the last one I didn't completely really watch, so forgive me. Um, from what I watch, again, cinematography, uh, just the construction, the composition of the scenes, all of this had really good scene compositions. All of it is just like they put. You can see why they were selected for each one. And I guess the theme for this is um women, women's rights, right? Because each one of the story focuses on women and like I guess sort of the rights of women and how women are oppressed in some ways or somehow. And it also all follow the theme of having very interesting cinematography. Not just I keep on saying cinematography, but what I meant to say is actually composition. What is in the shot? Very interesting. What is in the shot, and I enjoyed it. I liked the fact that we are presenting that. That's that's wonderful, honestly. Um, so those are kind of my positives. I think that the first one with Lukman Ali is like just fun, a fun romp. Alima's Choice is kind of a wonderful sort of little introduction into like choices and like some of the stock the modern versus modern. I think more than modern versus like olden ways. It's more about like the woman's focusing on that and like the dresses out with the modern versus old ways. And Oyingo, Oyingo and Olga really gets to you, really gets to you emotionally. And the Imitating Gene is just a wonderful story that focuses on like it's a very visual storytelling that is just wonderful itself, and it's just wonderful. And Kotope,
Okay.
I'm done. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. You would like to shut me up? Okay, bye. I'm done. Okay. When I start hearing your voice, I know it's time to go.
Thank you. No, but thanks. Thanks. I think Cynthia
Yes, Cynthia.
and then Alex.
Oh, Mel's on as well.
Oh, Mel's on. Oh,
Oh well, I was thinking of not joining today, and I think you guys know why. But anyways, let me go to the good. I enjoyed watching the series creators' interpretation on what we imagining African folktale meant to them. At the end, I was like, okay, it made sense why we had three entries from Eastern Africa. Because I enjoyed Ayango and the Oga and Katupi, and even though I disliked the delivery of Katera, I felt that I would have loved a good revenge story. So my favorites were those that I felt transcended beyond borders. I could interpret it to mean things to me or things that I have heard and probably get the moral of the story. So I felt like it was something that a Cameroonian would tell a story, and you guys in Zimbabwe we try to we be able to resonate with it because there is this version of the story in your country. Anyways, my top three are Ayango and the Oga, Emnity Jane, and Katopi. For Ayango and the Oga, I felt the writer told a known folktale, and I'm guessing the name of the folktale is the Oga, and juxtaposed it with a modern example, which was domestic violence. And in this current example, we could see that the source of the children's joy still came from the folktale that mirrored their lives. It was also the only story that the Once Upon a Time that started felt good. Okay. I felt the children were adorable. I love when my baby girl Zari was tired of throwing ball and she spoke that Swahili that they should leave her alone. I felt we could see that Otis was tired of his mom abuse. And even the second child, even though it didn't say anything, I just felt you could see his facial expression and it gave all the emotional support it needed to give. The film also gave me the Thames by Moonlight feeling with the children reading the story and also the soundtrack. And by the second time or third time I was rewatching this movie, I actually followed them to be singing the wanna go, mama, whatever, whatever. Because yes, the story sold to me and I bought it. I also like the use of soundtrack. Okay, so they were singing, but they didn't just make soundtrack to sing. Um, you could see that they were in distress, and by the time they were singing a part where they were calling their mom to show love and other stuff, and I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Um, what else did I even write? Oh yeah, I also felt like as a film, she also like used some shots to explain some things. So she didn't need to explain. For example, I think everybody has mentioned it, the father's car. So I felt like, okay, this is why he's a violent man. He has gone through abuse all his life and is given abuse. I felt like the woman on black suit where she held the brake, probably was like, oh, I'm going into danger. As a film that touched on domestic violence, I liked how she touched the part of where your abuser tries to buy you in by giving you something good without actually changing or seeing the bad that they have done. Finally, I actually like the blue zone and the gray zone. The blue zone being the rich, the gray zone looking like the poor area, and the experiences they had. It gave room for a lot of interpretation. I won't lie. By the time I finished Ayanga or the Oga, I was like, all that glitters is not good. Enmity Jane, which was my second favorite. Like Mo said, I like the intro, the shot, the voiceover, and all the background info that they gave was well thought of. As someone that I know is an Islamic folktale, and I'm not Islam, but them explaining the different type of jinn, and this jinn we are going to see is an enmity jinn. And the enmity jinn, whenever it appears, someone summon in, and we saw someone putting a talisman by the side of the tree, and when it comes with a lot of evil. Okay, and I also like how they left the child scene and be like, what is this jinn afraid of? Then 75 years later, the woman that was a child also looked like 75, like she was 75, and we could see the difference for between the old days and the modern day. I enjoy the grammar playing with the children. I just enjoy seeing children behave like children. I also felt they were very consistent with the gene. So before, at the beginning, before 75 or 75 years ago, this woman went to bury the talisman. And 75 years, somebody also went to bury something at the front of, or inside a plant to summon the gene. And with the same thing that happened 75 years ago, where the jinn is afraid of children, of child, and the child touched the jinn in current, and it also disappeared. I also felt like they also followed the story or the woman's acting. You could see that she could feel that the evil spirit was present, even though she could not see them. And in conclusion, I just generally like the story because I know I've always heard that children are pure in spirit. Does Mr. C want to say something? I muted his mic. Okay. In general, I like the story because I've heard about children being pure in spirit, and this enmity gene was afraid or chased away by children. I also like the whole bearing of things and things happening to you is something that even in other religion, you could also bury a juju, and someone is going to have stroke, or you could bury something, and bad things just keep happening to them. And finally, my top three was Katope. My number three was Katope. This was the shortest shot, and I love it. And I
Tunde,
felt before.
can you make this one quick? 5 minutes has passed more.
Okay, I'll make it quick. This was the shortest shot, and I love it. And I felt like they didn't do too much talk. So with the visuals, for example, at the beginning you could see the woman molding with clay, and you could see the drop of water. But immediately Katope came, or immediately we heard the baby cry, the water drop, and the next shot was about the tree and the gallons, and you could really tell that there was drought happening, so the believability, oh my god, my teeth, of the drought was seen in the story, even with them going to hustle for food, for water, and the rest, and even them not even taking their baths because Katope was lying in the dirt and she just cleaning her body. So about the bed, the way they shot the movie, I felt the bed spoke to Katope through the dream to accept her fate. That was how I interpreted the movie. I don't know if I don't know if that is how other people saw it, but I felt the bed being in the location where Katope woke up after having the dream of going for the ritual actually spoke to her through the dream. I also like the ritual scene because there were a lot of energy in it. Then just to run through the others that were not in my top three, Alima's Choice. I can only remember sorry. I was going to say in Katope, I felt like it resonated with me because it's probably a story, or probably you have heard stories about children being born in certain time and because of their birth, they probably suffered some things in the village and all that thing, and they just need to accept their fate in order for that calamity to move. Then to run through the others before Mr. C stopped me, Anima's Choice, I can only remember liking the dialogue of the whole husband house, or will you expect to do, or do you expect me to do this in the husband house? Katera, I like the shots of the island and the costume. And the last one, Mama Bo, I thought it was beautiful.
All right. Thanks, Cynthia. Alexandra, tell us some of the things you liked about African folk tales.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so almost 5 minutes won't be enough, but I'll try. So, generally, across board, cinematography, sound, dialogue, most of the technical stuff were top notch, but that's Netflix. I don't think we're expecting anything less, considering the budget. I was actually very disappointed because I expected more relatable folk tales, like folk tales that I could resonate with or I've heard before from different Cynthia said it, like I wanted to relate with a lot of folk tales from other countries, but I think it's only one.
Are these your good things? We could do the bad
Oh,
stuff in a bit.
okay. I'm sorry. I don't know the format. How do I start? I'm sorry. I just
Say all
jumped in.
the things you like at this point, and then after that, we'll go into the things we didn't like.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad. I
No worries.
just started. Okay, so things I liked. I liked the ogre story. Obviously, it's very relatable. Tiv from Benue State, and so that's a story that is told in different languages. So it was very relatable. I liked it. I liked the simplicity of the story. I think in this project, in all across all 8 things, 8 stories, this the simple stories are the ones that carried more weight. I think the people that tried so hard to be complicated, like just got lost in the storytelling. Yeah, I think that's all when it comes to likes. Can I start with my?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, literally, that's all I liked.
All right. Thanks, Alexandra.
Okay. All
Wait,
right.
I just skipped over Mel. Sorry, Mel. Sorry,
Right.
Mel.
Thank you.
I forgot. Mel, if you're there, the things you like about African folk tales reimagined.
Hi, that was not at all the red carpet welcome I was expecting, but it's
It's been a while, yes. Well, sorry, red carpet, the one and only Mel.
Elon Musk will crumble. Anyway, the things I love the premise of it. I absolutely adore the premise of it. I think I echo Vanessa when I said I just really enjoyed the ride. The going to different countries, experiencing it was really nice. It was one of my most fun parts of that experience. I love the premise of reimagining folk tales. When we get to the bad, then I'll talk about some of the issues that I had with that. But I absolutely adore the premise of reimagining folk tales. And I just want to see more, 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 more. I want to see 2 or 3 or 4. Let's do it all. Um, what else did I like? I liked the picture quality. There was like a consistent beauty to the entire project. So I enjoyed that. Yeah, I liked that it was just always pleasing to the eye every time you looked. What else did I like? My favorite was Enmity Jin. I just adored that, the fearsomeness of the grandmother in facing off with this supernatural being. Oh, there's a word that is escaping me now. Just when you knew something bad was going to happen, just that, I guess, the suspense of it all. It was just well done, very well done. And it was one of the easily recognizable folk tales that just had a refreshing take, if that makes any sense. Not yeah, just it was just refreshing to see it presented in that way. And I just really enjoyed it. Just film wise, it was just very well done. Elizabeth has already gone on and on about the visual of it, just the strikingness of the costuming of the jinn. I loved that. Um, I don't know. I think we should do more films in deserts. Some of my favorite films have been set in deserts, and utilize just that striking contrast in colors. And I thought it worked really well. It's always worked really well, and it worked really well with enemy teaching. What else did I like? I liked Anyangwan the ogre. I liked the idea of it. Um, I really enjoyed the last scene where they show up at the gray zone, and it's all this. Prior to this moment, the only experience of the gray zone was just women like foraging for food, but they show up at the gray zone and it's just, it's happy, people are alive. And my bias for that is, ever since I was a child, the thing that has called to me the most is the story of the old woman who was banished to outside the town, outside the village. And I just always thought that these women were just like living their best lives. Honestly, they didn't want to deal with you peasants anyway. And I just like that that's what they captured with that closing scene where they show up, and it just, it the community, people laughing. It's glorious. It's such a stark difference from the policing that came with the blue zone, right? So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed Mam Lambo, not the film, but I think that I could recognize the folk tale in it, about the water people. Um, I thought that just that idea of the river people, sorry, that idea of the river people was just so powerful and so beautiful, and it resonated with me. Let me see if I can quickly go through the. I liked the idea of Katopia as well. The idea of well, when we get to the bad, then I'll talk about my issues with some of the films. But just the idea of needing water and losing the bird and needing to compensate for that. The way that I understood it was that this child needed to give their life. When we get to the bad, then I'll talk about the things that confused me. So just that progression, right? This thing that you wanted for so long, you're about to lose it. So that idea, I enjoyed it. I think that's about it. I think Halima's choice was a beautiful entry. I think the filmmaker should be proud. Again, when we get to the bad, then I'll talk about my issues with it. That's about like Vanessa said, I really enjoyed the music. I think that the music was always doing something good. So I really enjoyed how contained it felt, how always relevant stroke necessary it felt when it came on. Those are my goods. Oh, my last good is the acting in Enmity Jin. Oh, dear Lord. Just fantastic. Fantastic. And the chemistry that the child had with his grandmother, when he was asking for the money for the bikes. It was just so beautiful to behold. Those are my goods.
All right, thanks, Mel. Yeah, I remember that part with the kid asking for money
For the
for his bike.
extra
I was like, hey. So yeah, yeah, troublemaker. She called him a troublemaker. Or, are you in stealing money or something? I can't remember the joke she did with him, but yeah, that was cute. Vanessa, what
Sorry,
you
now
want
you
to
know
say?
when you go first, you don't really get through all your stuff. Um, this is mainly for Halima's choice, and I just want everybody to know that me, I'm biased because Korede Aziz na my guy. She directed my first and currently only fashion short film, available on the YouTube. But Korede na my guy. So me, I'm biased, and I feel bad because I didn't take time to speak on Halima's choice. Halima's choice is automatically my top three because Korede na my guy. And if anybody disagrees, that seems like a you problem and not a me problem. I really liked Halima's choice. I actually prefer the Hausa name over like Halima's choice. Halima's choice just seems so pedestrian and lame in comparison to how it's said in Hausa. Um, one of my major goods is the Hausa in this. Like, I mean, mainstream Nollywood just messes up when it comes to our indigenous languages. And it's quite upsetting, honestly, because they don't cast people who speak those languages well. Now, if you ask some filmmakers, they say it's hard to cast people who speak our local languages. But in Halima's choice, that wasn't an issue. These people were blowing the house. I was like, it was sweet in my ears. Even though I didn't understand a lot of it because I'm not great with languages, even though I grew up quite a bit in the north. But I really enjoyed hearing Hausa in my ears. I know there's been a lot of talk of Afrofuturism and Afro minini technology and way. But I liked the take on this. And I think it appeared again in, I think more so than Afrofuturism. I think it's more so you know how when we were watching cartoons with the Jetsons and how people thought, oh, this is what the future is going to be like, right? Why I really liked Halima's choices, the future is here. Whether or not we like it, with all the talk about Web3 and all the AI stuff that's going on right now, and the conversations that of the implications that has on the creative industry and on art, and how people feel about a misrepresentation of things, and the negative effects of how these things will have in our day life. I think Korede attempting to have this conversation with the film is a big deal. Something that she touched on very lightly in it is how a lot of these tech AI based people, so it's like a weird tech colonialism type feel, how these people come into the world of unsuspecting villagers and still need, basically trying to get data from them without like their knowledge, and to go back to make Napata more realistic. And we saw how Halima felt when she realized that this man who she kind of trusted was just mining her for data. And a lot of us feel that way, about how our data is being used on social media platforms, what parts of our life we're giving up. It may not have been a perfect telling of this, but the fact that someone's attempting to tell that story and have that conversation should be lauded. There were beautiful scenes. The rolling plateaus of Jos looked gorgeous. Like the hills were beautiful. Their village was gorgeous. Napata was beautiful. That shot on the edge of the cliff where she was cold, and the fact that my babe went for a wrapper instead of like a winter jacket. I'm sorry. Korede did it. Korede did the thing. And if anybody wants to fight Korede in the bad, I'm here for you people because Korede are my guy. Yeah,
All
Alright,
right.
so
that's
yeah,
it.
you're short
That's it. That's all.
All right. Azaz has just joined us.
Is that so deep dish person?
What's your problem?
Sorry.
All right. Inka will come to you. Let Ataz. We're still in the good, by the way.
Yeah, we're still in the good, everybody. So thank you. God bless.
Yeah. Ataz, if you can do in 5 minutes.
I think she'll do it too.
The things you liked about African Folktales Reimagined. Ataz, are you there? All right. Anka, what do you want to say?
Yes, so sorry, what I wanted to say is that I think that Inimididin is the one that is not really reimagining any. This is not a bad, by the way. This is not bad. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't do any sort of like reimagining of that story in any way. Or the only the thing about it is like, okay, it's set in the modern day, but that's it. And I think because of that, it is one of its greatest strengths because it's just a straight folk tale. This will get into my bad later. It's not bad, but more of my like criticism of the thing. But like I think that's one of the strengths of the story. And I think that's also one of the strengths of the other what's the one? The one with the ogre, right? It does do some reimagining, some like science fiction thinking, but it's not that much. And I think it's also that's why I think it's also strong. Um this kind of the same thing with Alima something. Alima's choice book. So that's just what I wanted. I forgot to say that am I good? That's what I kind of wanted to say too.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Anka. All right. Mel,
Again.
who that?
Okay.
Oh, all right. Atas, yes. Do you want to say the things you liked? Where'd she go?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I enjoyed the first story the most. I thought that I like the story of the ogre, but I like the story in the story more than the actual story that was happening. But I really enjoyed the first story. I thought from beginning till the action scenes, and even the resolution was really fun. So I think those are my goods. And yeah, I liked seeing African stories retold as best as they could be.
All right.
This is a record, like 30 seconds.
All right, thanks, Atas. This is C. What are you saying?
Okay. First off, what did I like? I liked that most of them were felt a bit more abstract. I don't know if that's the right word I'm using, but I felt like I didn't need as many answers to so many things. I was just willing to let things just float there in the ether without needing to be pinned down into reality or fact or, A plus B, A and B, C. Not making any sense, but that's how I felt. I thought a lot of things looked really beautiful. A lot of the cinematography I thought was beautiful. I really enjoyed all of the non-English conversations. Not every conversation, but that makes sense. I enjoyed listening to the Hausa and Halima's Choice. Katope, I enjoyed listening to it. And Mambo, that seems to be the general least favorite, but I really enjoyed the dialect. Listening to them speak was really nice for me. So I enjoyed that. Vanessa mentioned costume, and I was just shouting, put 100% there for me, because I did really enjoy the costuming as well. And she mentioned Katara and the Captive Island and all of that. But even Halima's Choice, I enjoyed the costuming. I like that Halima was walking around in t-shirts and wrappers, right? With the scarf. That's such a common thing to wear in a lot of places in Nigeria. And I don't think we put that in our films. So I really enjoyed that. This is a toss-up. This is both a good thing and a bad thing. My unfamiliarity with a lot of the folktales, I think that was a good thing for me in some ways, because it helped me just enjoy things without thinking of, oh, does this map back accurately? Is it an accurate representation? Blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was good. I enjoyed that part of it. What else? Yeah, I like that the reimagining had some kind of futuristic takes on some of them. I think Ayango and the Ogre, that is my least favorite, but I felt like it was Black Mirror-esque, which I enjoyed. I like the combination of elements, the old folktale being told, the present day story, the futurizing, the Black Mirror type situation of two worlds. I thought that was really enjoyable. And I think, like, my overall sense is I think we should have more shorts. I really think we should do more shorts. Just as an industry, I think we should do more shorts. I think there's a bit more freedom to, I don't know, give people a slice of things, not try to figure out huge plots, be a bit more creative, be poetic. I think there is a lot of room for that in shorts. So yeah, I wish we would have more shorts.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Miss C. Worth mentioning, if you do want to send the things that you like, just comment underneath the space or hashtag Nollywood Film Club. The things that I liked. Yeah, so one of the things that I think I noticed at some point is like, by the time I'd finished watching it, the first round was like, I think every world, every short, I could tell what, if you showed me a couple of frames from them, I could immediately tell you what story I was watching. So distinct is good. And yeah, it was just nice to like feel like I went into 6 different worlds, although like they also all felt African. Something that is almost worth taking for people almost take for granted is just the production on this. A lot of times, because of where we've been coming from, Nollywood wise, there's so many things that we do very poorly, and this does almost none of that poorly. Like even down to I would say even down to, I know like some of the CG could probably be better, but like even I wouldn't even say we've done CG as good as some of the things that are on here. It just is so easy to take for granted. The sound as well, sound design, things that we've just been we've been systematically getting wrong. This is part of the reasons why I don't like watching like other African stuff, just in case that like I don't want to come back to Nollywood and just be upset. Yeah, but like maybe it's just a lot of money that was put into it, because like even our version looked really good in terms of production, in terms of sound, in terms of editing. All of these things just looked really professional. What other thing? I think I liked the way they all have something to say. I think some say it slightly better than others, but I appreciate the voice behind all of the filmmakers, and I just thought it's different. I don't know whether all that might be bad. Okay, all right. But I like that it's at least different from some of the things we're used to getting. Is that it? Let me just check my list. Yeah, okay. Mrs. has mentioned a couple of some of my ones. I like that some of them are sort of not very there's not linear is not the right word, but like, yeah, I guess more abstractly. Some of them are more atmospheric. What you're supposed to get for it isn't plot A to to Z. It's more just feel what's going on, especially in the scenes. I really enjoyed that. I think it was what's the name of the Enmity Dijin? Huh?
Enmity Jin.
Jin. I was like, why have I written Dijin here? What did you? Anyway, Enmity Jin was was one that I thought could almost even work as a silent movie, or even if it wasn't a silent movie, like if you took away the subtitles, I'd probably still enjoy it just as much, because there was less about really the words that we're saying and more about just what was happening on screen. It's just nice to see for a change of pace. But yeah, all right, those were my goods. Mel, did you have something you wanted to add before we moved on?
Yes, not so good. Just I think what Oyinkang brought up was interesting, because I definitely thought that Enmity Jin was very reimagined. I did think that. I think that all of the films where I could tell what the folk tales was, or I could tell what the underlying skeleton of the folk tale was, they felt very reimagined. So it's like, what does Oinkan define as reimagined? Because I don't think you have to, just because you're reimagining, I don't think you have to stray too far away from the folk tale. And Enmity Jin was one of the films that was pretty right there with the folk tale itself. But the whole thing
You're
about the sorry,
That's
Oinkan,
exactly what I'm saying. That's
okay,
exactly what I'm saying.
really?
That's what I said. I said that MT Jane is not necessarily like what I meant was like it's not doing the futuristic AI futurism.
Okay, so
It's
that's
just I
fair
literally
enough.
said it's just set. It's the same story but just set in modern day. That's what I meant.
But it's not just set in modern day. It gives the jinn an adversary, a human adversary who prevails over it.
Yes, that's common to like some of Jean stories. Not maybe not all Jean stories, but some of the Jean stories I've also read is also like there's an human adversary that prevails over it sometimes in those stories. There are stories that has that ending. So I was just like, oh, they're not doing some special something because the most when they were doing the imagining thing, this is what I got from like all the something. They had some sort of Afrofuturism thing going on as a theme common to most of them. But some, not all of them did it, but most of them sort of did this some of the kind of like reimagining something that was just very different. And this one, what I meant by it's not following that set. It's just like taking an old story and putting it in the modern day. It's
Okay,
like
I
that. And
think
I
you're
said it was
oversimplifying.
different.
Okay, I understand your first point. Sorry, I understand your first point now. It's so much clearer now, and I think we're on the same page with that. But I think you're oversimplifying the imagination that went into Enmity Jane. It isn't just set in the modern day, because we see the child rise up as an adversary ever since we see the grandmother rise up as an adversary ever since she was a child, right? And that's a pretty fresh take on it. That it seemed like this was the work that she was called to do. You could interpret it that way, or you could interpret it as just being a child and encountering a gene. She had not yet learned fear, and so that fearlessness that comes with babies. I mean, she walked up to it and she grasped at it the way that babies would walk up to a fire and would put their hand in to grasp it, right? She had not yet encountered the fear, and so that fear just never followed her. And yeah, so maybe there's a point about like fear. I feel like it was more reimagined than just being set in modern day.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I agree.
All right. Let me just read before we're going to head into the bad, but let me just read some positive tweets that have come in for it. Simon, it's all right. I'll go last. Simon says, "For me, the sound and music for Katera of the Punishment Island was so amazing. I think that yes, they did well, and I love the music aspect. Like just so many things that could be taken for granted, just in terms of filmmaking. And Shagun's point actually reinforces this. I watched Halima's Choice. It ticked all the boxes as far as actual filmmaking is concerned. Audio, color, dialogue on 100 layers was a bit slow in some parts, but it still delivered. And the Jin movie. I'm dyslexic. All right. And the Jin movie, I almost said it again. And the Jin movie was quite intriguing. The Mauritian.
Mauritanian. I don't
It's
know.
Mauritanian,
That was
guys. Come
Mauritian.
on.
Mauritanian.
Mauritania.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. The Mauritanian accent was quite exotic for me. Why aren't they just Mauritians? Why can't just be that?
Because they're not.
Just all right. Let's not.
Wow, cancel Mr. C, please.
Yeah, let's not change people's nationality for them. All right. Okay. All right. So let's pivot to the stuff that we didn't like as much. Vanessa, do you want to start? Obviously, you want to start with Halima's choice.
And let's not forget timers, 5 minutes,
And you
people.
people should, sorry, I'm not having bad for Halima's choice, mainly because I am biased.
That's all right.
That's what
Mainly because
Vanessa
I am
wants to
biased and I'm proud of
That's how
it.
it is.
My bad. Okay. Not necessarily a bad, but like Mrs. C, I probably would have liked an article or two pre the release of this telling us what each folktale was that will be retold. I don't know how I felt, because then some of them felt like not a retelling, and maybe that's my one bad for Halima's choice.
Hey, I knew.
Stop interrupting.
I'm sorry. I love Correde to bits, and I love this, and I'm proud of her for this. But I was a little like, ooh, what is the folk tale we're telling you here? And maybe that's just me. Maybe someone knows it, and if someone knows the folk tale, please come and tell me. But I don't know what the folk tale is for Halima's choice. So that's my one bad. My last bad. It's not really a bad. It's just what happened. Is that I fell asleep while watching Malambo. Twice, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, guys. I tried.
Yes, yes.
The one thing I really enjoyed about Malambo is that the river people were smoking weed. Whatever they were smoking through their bong.
I do want to join.
Don't forget
Yes,
the highlighter though.
yeah. I was going to say that is it Malambo or Mamabo? It's actually a real folk tale.
Cynthia knows the folktale. I don't know the folktale.
The-
I mean, I started watching it because so maybe it's because I didn't do what I initially planned to do. So my initial plan was I would watch two shorts a day. So I watched the first two on Tuesday, but then I didn't get around to watching any on Wednesday or Thursday, and then I just ran through the 4 on Friday. And I actually enjoyed the first 3 of my 4-ish. Like I didn't mind Anyango and the yoga, maybe because I recognized some bits of it, like I said earlier. So it wasn't too bad for me. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't too bad for me. And then I really enjoyed Katope and Enmity Jin. That by the time I got to Malambo, one, my eyes were tired. And then I don't know, I just felt like it didn't really get into the nitty-gritty for me. Like, what was that babe running from? How did she get to the hut? Who was at the hut? But then again, I need you to keep in mind where I was falling asleep. So I will open my eye, I will see something. I'll be like, oh, it's still going. I would think I'm paying attention. Unbeknownst to me, I was falling asleep. I guess the only I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I don't know. See how all the other ones didn't have dialogue, and it was a good for me. I don't know, something about the lack of dialogue in this was not working. Even though there was also that, I don't know. I think what it was missing, the Malambo thing, was a narrator, kind of like the one in the beginning of Enmity Jin. Just a brief, tiny little. This is what this is. Even though I think maybe he did have it, but sorry guys, I think my main bad is that I fell asleep. It wasn't enough to hold my attention. But to be honest with you, I think this was a good body of work. That, as you can see, my only bad is that I fell asleep for the last one. The first 5 were fine. Ooh, okay. I didn't particularly like the island one. I don't know what it is about it. It was the first one. It did a good job of like opening the anthology, I guess. But I don't know, something about it just it was beautiful to watch. They were really good. It just I don't know. I don't know if this was supposed to be about a woman taking her life back, but something about it just didn't feel as empowering as I think it was meant to be. I, I, I don't know. I don't know. But all in all, this was a good body of work. There weren't too many bads for me. I'm sure other people have many bads, but I actually just really enjoyed watching a bunch of shorts from different countries. It wasn't too bad. Only the last one made me fall asleep. I'm sorry, South Africa.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks, Vanessa. I think the thing with Katara and the island is
of the punishment.
the punishment island. Yeah, I don't know if this is what did it for you, because this is what made it lose that thing that it was supposed to have for me. It was just the dumbness of the decisions, like in the last how many minutes to the end of it. It's just
10.
Yeah, in the last 10, and it just felt like a wasted trip. And I don't know. I just don't know why we went to save some dude and he ended up dead alongside the other people that came to help you save the dude. That was just my thing. But yeah.
All right. Well, my thing with that one is just
the daggers.
Just the daggers that guy threw. It shows him pick up one, then he throws one, and it hits the wall. But then we see a knife that has been stuck into the gun. I imagine
from the side.
From the side. I still don't understand how that happened. I feel like I missed something in there, but maybe somebody explained it to me. But it didn't. It felt weird, and it took me out. Fi, please tell some of the things that didn't sit well with you.
Sure. Starting with Katara. I think I'd have loved to know how long she stayed in the village teaching, because the timeline would have helped me, because I felt like she was there for a short while. Then all of a sudden we're moving somewhere else. We have something else we're going to do. So that held me back a bit. The second one was also the knife thing, the way it got hooked into the gun, because logistically speaking, I don't even think it's possible for you to throw a knife and somebody wouldn't see it. But for you to throw a knife and for it to curve into that spot where it held the gun, so it wasn't shooting anymore. So that was that for me. Halima's choice, I didn't like the way Uma was killed. I felt like I couldn't do with that because it was so flimsy, but it really showed what people can do when in fear of the unknown. So it was quite heartbreaking, and I didn't like that scene. Malambo, I didn't finish watching this. It didn't hold me the way the others did. I feel like by the time I got to this film, I feel that it lost me. In comparison to the other films, I feel like it was full on with the newspaper clippings of domestic violence. It wasn't subtle. It was in the face, and it felt like inorganic in a way. And yeah, I didn't go with it. I didn't flow with it. I like the whole thing about, river spirits and everything, even the whole smoking thing as well, who doesn't like that? But like, I felt like it just didn't hold me. I didn't finish it, and I don't think I'm going to revisit it. So yeah, those are my dislikes. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Fi. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And with Malambo, I felt like, I don't know that I feel like I don't really have the right words today, but it felt like the story they put all those newspaper clippings and they thought that was enough to go, yes, women's rights and that was it. There's just not much more showing or much more going on to explore that. It was, violence against women is awful and on the rise. Here's the newspaper clippings about it.
Yeah, I can't speak much to that because like some other people, I sort of dozed off, and so I don't know whether it was just used as a like it wasn't like it's not the main thing, like it's just part of something else that addresses the other parts of the story. I didn't know. I mean, like that's what I would have imagined they'd be doing if they're just using newspaper clips. But yeah, anyway, Elizabeth, you want to tell us some of the things you didn't enjoy as much?
Okay, so I'll start with generally when I started watching, guys, I must have slept twice watching the island one. And I think for me, the problem with it is it has a false start. One of the things I notice is, apart from the lead characters, the other characters were not doing any form of heavy lifting, almost as though the director forgot that they were there. And I mean those women that were tied to the tree. They looked like they were waiting for cue. You can go, you can go now. I kept looking at their face, and it was almost as though they were going to stare at the camera. I was wondering, like, what is happening here? And I mean full starts because from the narration of what the island does and why they put women there to the rest of the story, it was not coherent for me. I do like a good revenge story, but this story leads me to believe that the lore was really about that island, the punishment for the women. And then I didn't mind I became the girl's own revenge story. I just thought it should be coherently done. There were so many things that I didn't understand. And I think that's why I kept falling asleep. And I think the lead guy is a very fine boy. I kept staring at him. He helped, but he couldn't really hold my attention for long. Then I felt like he spent so much time focusing on majoring in minors, right? Getting the knife to the gun, and then the action point. I thought it was good. The camera, the choice of angles, but the story at the end, I get the women were there, and then they threw him in, and it left so many questions. So this custom, who started it? How was it done? Is it gone now? Will they uphold it now? Was it a community thing? Was it just this guy? I didn't get it, honestly. So I was very happy when Alima's choice came on. So Alima's choice for me also. One of the things that I didn't like about Alima's choice was it was in the motives, right? The motivation of the story. So I didn't think the storytelling lacked a certain fluidity. So in where it is coherent, it's not cohesive, right? Like the certain fluidity that I think was missing, and it could have been easily surmounted. So, the lack of fluidity also opened a lot of question for motives. The jump, and there were so many jumps in decisions made that I felt like directing could have fixed, right? The jump between rescuing him and then showing her the VR, and then her wanting him to run away with her, and then him revealing who he is. Like the question is, what's the motive here? So if there was some form of intimacy there, right? The decision to say, you know what, I'm going with this guy. If there was something there, I would understand it. If there was, this is the person who she's anchored to. And maybe it could have been indirect, maybe a touch of hand, anything, a slight look or whatever. But because it wasn't established, it left a lot of, for me, the motive wasn't clear for either of them, including Omar. Why did you decide to tell her there and there that you came together? She's asking you to run. You can even say, oh, I can't run, I'm sorry, bye. You refuse to do that. You're like, oh, look, I came here to gather this, that. Why? What are the stakes, right? Was it that high enough for you to reveal your mission here? So that was it for me, mainly. And then by the ending, the interpretation of, like I said, I had another interpretation. In fact, I was like, okay, maybe she actually stayed even in that AI world and then roaming around just like Umar was until they found him. And then the third one for me for the Ayango, guys, I probably don't even have anything that I don't like in Ayango, so I'll pass. Um, for the gene, enmity gene, I really liked the enmity gene. But another thing for me was, in the narration said something along the line of people who call the gene, said something about their motivation and how, the whatever destroys them. Anyways, watching, so when we got the first scene, again, because it was visual, we don't know the reason why the first person called the gene, to help them for something, who knows, whatever. But then in the 50 after 75 years, rather, we saw somebody put in that thing. Now, why would you call the gene for this family? Now it's in the motivation for that particular character. I don't even know you. I get it that this story does not want us to see. We don't need to know the motive of the people doing this bad thing. Calling the gene for a family, but just wants us to see, good versus evil. But I just felt like that particular gray area was, for me, was just nagging at me. For Katope, I would just say one thing: ambiguity is not art. That's it. That's all I have to say for Katope. I was just lost. I was just confused. And I was rewinding. And I'm like, see, if you're not tenants, you should not really deal with me like this. You just 30 or 25 minutes. Why am I rewinding? I beg. So for the last one, just like everyone else, I slept to Kuyemi. So I like, you know what? I've tried. I've contributed to the society like that.
All right, thanks for this. Well, I will call on the Atape army to rise. We cannot have this slander. But I think Anka is next. Anka, some of the things you didn't enjoy.
Yes. Okay, so I'm not necessarily going to say this is bad. It's more I'm being critical because I enjoyed and I'm being critical of the ideas or of the things. Doesn't mean it is bad. Doesn't mean your choices, because this is hard. You can make whatever choice you make. And once you present it, I can be critical. I call this entire thing, right? NGO African film student experimental series. Because once I saw Netflix and NGO, and it was like Katope, like when you said tenant, I was laughing because I was also very confused. And I was also like, okay, the question I was asking in my head is like, yeah, it's because it's UNESCO or whatever. It's UNESCO, and UNESCO is a protection of cultural sites or cultural something, right? The Katope one, it became so much more explicit to me. That I was like, why are they doing, what is this dance and this thing? Like, why are you specifically showing this? It looks wonderful. It is a very aesthetic driven series. It is very aesthetically driven. And it talks about something that is very important in the world of development, in like the developmental NGO world. It's a very important subject, women's rights, especially African women's rights. And every single one of them follows it. Even you can see it in Lukman Ali's one. Lukman Ali makes no sense. Like, it's funny. Does it follow motivation? Everybody has already mentioned some of the things issue with it, but I think it's okay because after seeing Brotherhood, in my head I've said Lukman Ali is like Jerry. What's the name of that guy? The guy that does Transformer movies. That director.
Michael Bay.
Yes. Look,
The
Michael
whole
Bay is actually a talented movie
Barry,
director.
no,
Like
Barry.
a lot of people get something. A lot of your directors, even like what's his name, the guy that did ET, really likes Michael Bay because as a director he has like technical know-how, and Lukman Ali has technical. Or even Zach, what's the guy that did the
Snyder.
uncut? Yes, Zack Snyder, right? Like they have a look, they have an artistic something, and he has that. Now, does the content of the look make, is it some, no, it doesn't have to be that. I enjoyed it. Like, how did the something get caught into the some, how did that knife thing, that you're throwing, get caught into the into the bullet, something like that from the side? I don't know, but it's meant to be just fun romp, and I'm like, okay. And you can see they do talk about it does sites talk about women's right, like, but does it women's right? And I think it's cool. It's a fun romp. That's cool. Every single one of them is something about a woman, except for, this is why I really even like Emerson Jean. It is about a woman. It is about an older woman. But the focus of the story, of each story, is not like, oh, this woman is suffering. In fact, it's more of her like protecting her family, and she has agency, you know? And it's like, it's that's I really do like Emmett Jean, and I even really like Alima something too. But Alima still falls into that. Oh, she's being forced into marriage, and this is Afrofuturism, and it's like we have an Afrofuturism background there, and then we have like a hold looking like what's it called? Village. And I'm just like, then why is it's the kind of aesthetics. It's aesthetics. I'm so sorry. I'm somebody who likes history, and sometimes it just to me, I see it aesthetically. Does it make sense that these two aesthetics will be together with themselves? No. No, it doesn't make no sense in like reality of life. No. But okay, it's cool. And that's kind of my critique of it. It's not, it's kind of like, who is this actually made for? What audience are you making? It says you're reimagining African folk tales, right? How are you reimagining this African folk tales? It's like, what is the Afro something aesthetic? The Afro, you can have that aesthetic, by the way. Again, I'm saying it's not a bad thing. I'm just being critical. Why do you have this Afrofuturism aesthetic, and like it doesn't even connect? Like, how did you reimagine the folktale? How does it even connect to like maybe many Africans' lives?
Right.
Many Africans like life. Like, what is the connection? Again, I'm not saying that what they did is bad. I'm just being I'm just criticizing. So I'm not saying, I think their work was beautiful. It is wonderful. They're clearly very talented filmmakers and everything. And it's just it just feels very kind of selly to me. Like you're selling
Okay.
what people believe to be an aesthetic of Africanness, rather than like as a folktale reimagination of every single one of them, like except for I think Animated James is one of
Okay.
them.
I have pushback,
So
please.
Wait. Okay. We'll get to your pushback, Vanessa.
oh,
Just
okay, let me just finish. Let me just finish. So
okay.
that's the connection to me is just a little bit like, okay, it's like for what it is for UNESCO. I'm like, wonderful. I get it. It's wonderful. The story and what's the Olga story? The Olga story actually does work too. Like that one, there was a reason why it got to me emotionally, and Emmett teaching got to me emotionally, and Limit shows. The other ones, I was in for the ride. I was in for the ride, especially for Katopi. I was just like, what's going on? What's going on? And the last one too, I was also like, I'm so sorry. I also kind of fell asleep, and I also and I tried to finish it, and I did finish it, and I still don't know what was going on. So
Okay.
it's good to go for a ride for it, but I
All
just
right.
don't think they
It's-
kind of like
it's
really meet that
okay.
imagination.
You don't do. All right.
By my
Thank
own
you.
interpretation. By my own interpretation.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Onyeka. All right. Just a couple of people sent through some of the messages. So I'm just gonna read them out. Shagan says, "Mildly bad with Halima's choice was that they mildly bad with Halima's choice was that they could have had the people use some form of tech since they understood what uploading consciousness to the cloud was about. Something as simple as a Fitbit with holographic projection or perimeter security when Halima wanted to Japa. Right. So the world feels a little incomplete. Yeah. I don't think I disagree with that, actually. Obina says, this is a good, but Obina says, Qatar of the Punishment Island by Lukman Ali was really powerful with really memorable scenes. The cinematography, locations, production, and costume design, music, and sound design just screamed of excellence. I also saw Halima's Choice was also good. Wow, this is Nollywood Film Club. Well, that praise for Lukman Ali and Halima's Choice just gets, all right. Tambe says, I'm late, so this may have been said. It hasn't, hence I pinned. I had expectations, especially given the 100K budget for each roughly 15 to 20-minute film. My expectations weren't entirely met. I'd like to see budget breakdowns, receipts, basically. I appreciate Netflix attempt, but these should have been collectively stronger. Right. Honestly, the only thing I say that from at least from a Nollywood perspective, I don't know how much these people usually do spend. This is clear above like all of the things we generally do spend. But 100,000 sha times 6, that's 600,000 for 2 hours. Yeah, that's in fairness Okay. All right. Vanessa, what she
So
wants
this is
to
me coming for everyone who says Katope wasn't clear.
Thank
Guys,
you.
maybe this is coming. Maybe
Cat-
this is coming from someone who was a comic book stan who had their grandmother give them Tales by Moonlight every night. I got it, man. Maybe because I know how Diana of the Amazonians was made from sand and thunder from the gods on Olympus. This to me wasn't far-fetched. I feel like this was just a metaphor about how rain and water is life. We see these villagers in the middle of a drought, fighting for water. But how this starts is a woman who apparently for the past how many years of her life has only wanted this child. And so what it is to me, well, to my interpretation, is that she basically strong arms the gods into giving her this child. She does this ritual, molds this baby from clay, and is basically forcing the hands of the gods to give her a child. And so they do. And we hear, before the baby cries, we hear the sound of thunder and it rains. And then she hears a baby's cry and she smiles because she's gotten her wish. But then because she strong arms the gods, the rest of the community is plunged into a drought because she's taking that which is basically life into her hands. And so for as long as this child is alive, there's droughts. And then the waterbed comes and is telling my baby girl Katope, you have to do this ritual because you're holding on to what is the source of life for the rest of the community. And so Katope willingly goes to this ceremony and invokes this whole thing. And that ceremony was beautiful. Guys, I don't care whether you people felt like this was a spectacle that was put on for the sake of spectacling. Sometimes spectacle is nice. And these are real traditions. Many African communities have rain calling traditions, have rain calling ceremonies. There are many people with rain, many cultures with rainmakers. This made sense that there would be a ceremony in this community to call down the rain. And I know some people are saying Katope's sacrifice wasn't very clear, and I will give you that because towards the end it wasn't very clear. But me, I don't know, maybe me, I was imagining things, but me, I saw when Katope's hands started melting into mud when the rain started falling.
Okay, you're not imagining
Thank
it. We
you,
saw it.
because me, I saw when Katope's hands started melting into mud because the ritual was complete. So it wasn't ambiguous at all. Was it perfect? No. It wasn't perfect, but it was not by any means ambiguous. If people are looking for ambiguous, please go to Malambo at the end.
The ambiguity is in the storytelling now, Vanessa. You are saying all of this because you know this
Me,
story.
I
So
don't
if
know
I
the
don't know
story.
this
Imi
story,
Omo
and I
story,
come
yeah.
to you said
I don't
this,
know the
story,
story.
you
Me,
know,
I gained
you
this from
just
what
said
I
Diana of the
watched. It was a
Amazonia now,
literary
babe.
interpretation.
Yeah, because we saw it too, and I did think of
Thank
Diana
you.
when I saw her molding the
I
baby.
literally
I
thought of
thought
Wonder Woman.
Diana.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I was like, I guess there
So
should
you
be some
have the
African
background.
stories of
So
molding
you
babies.
have
Okay,
the
but
background.
we don't have an African story
We don't have an
background,
African
right?
story
And
Thank
background. We
with
have a
you.
the
comic
with
book
the
background.
So
Diana
if the film
and
doesn't
with
say it, I
no
don't
no
know
but
it, and I can't draw
with the
parallels.
story no with the story of Diana being molded from clay, there's no
There's no
consequence
consequence.
to that.
Yes.
There's nothing taken from the Amazons to give Diana. So this is pulled from the film. Like I saw the short and it was poetic, and you see her melting at the end. You see her make
You
that
see her
choice.
make the
She
choice.
converses with the bird. She makes a decision. She goes, and it's that enjoyment of the rain as she's sacrificing herself for
And you
it.
can see the acceptance in her mother's eyes that at least for a
Yeah.
number of years, she got her wish.
She got to have her wish. Yes,
But the mother
exactly.
said that rain was coming from the west. So where was that coming from to?
Oh,
Yes, that's what I thought. So talk about ambiguity now.
Mo, but you
What
people
is the
just heard me say
storytelling?
that it's not perfect. Well, but you
Okay,
heard me
okay,
say it's
okay,
not
okay.
perfect. But for you people to completely say it was not clear, haba, haba.
Okay, okay, okay.
Get
I
mom to
did
this. Wait,
I
wait, wait.
didn't notice
we'll get into this. Wait, we just have other people we need to get to who haven't spoken. Who's
Cynthia hasn't spoken.
Cynthia's next. All right, Cynthia, please go ahead.
Oh, okay, and somehow I'm starting from Katope. So Katope is my number 3 because I honestly got the whole idea. But for me, for someone that brought bad luck to the community, I felt that she was too accepted, or throughout the whole 30 minutes, I felt she felt in. I didn't see um maybe probably a little persecution or someone struggling to fit in for someone that brought the drought. And also, I don't think it was clear if she died. Now, I knew that the idea was for her to die. The elder came to visit the mom and be like, everything started with Katope, so it has to end with Katope. And they did the whole ritual and everything. At that point, I was waiting for something. I don't know how you people saw mud though. The only thing I saw was that her hand was filled with mud. I did not see her fading into mud. So I was kind of still like, I don't know. I just felt her death was still quite unclear, but I expected her to die so that the rain will come, because that's how it is with children born with other stuff. Then for Anima's choice, okay, so I don't have any bad for Ayango and the organ and my top 2. For Anima's choice, I felt it was not a folk tale, and even though I wouldn't mind, but I was also quite confused on what was being addressed. At first, I was like child marriage, but Anima is not a child. Early marriage, okay. True love, forbidden marriage. I mean, I don't know. I was still a bit, yeah, and I don't know if they were trying to show she was in love with Oma because she had to tell Oma to run it with her, this, that. I didn't buy that any love happened though. I didn't buy. I also felt it was very personalized. By personalized, I'm talking about the writers so she probably is someone that liked the AI and everything, and she brought in the futuristic world. But also I didn't buy into it, and also the ending left me confused. For Katera, like I said, I would love to watch a good revenge story. I mean, all the K drama I've been watching for this past few months have revenge story. I felt that the movie lacked the emotion to convince me to put me into the revenge story. And it all started from the extras. So when they went to save those women, and the other women were just there looking at the camera because they are happy to be in camera. I just felt like I wasn't getting the emotions from anybody that was kidnapped. And even the lead too, I also felt I just could not connect to her. Um yeah, what did I write? I don't know. I just felt I could not connect to her, and even the guy in the island that went to fight with her. I was like, why are you going to fight with her for? I also felt, I don't know. I wasn't just convinced. The movie did not do it for me, and I felt it wasn't a good revenge story. I mean, I would have bought it, but maybe the emotions were really missing for me to like go through it. For my Lambo, so my hate for my Lambo was because I expected more. Okay, first of all, given that it's a South African production, I expected more. Also, because of it's an original folktale, and they drew me in by showing me gender-based violence, newspaper, this, that, that. I was like, oh, South Africa, femicide. Okay, I'm going to get in and see what this goddess of the river does. The story, my problem was the connection in the story. Like I could see all the intentions. So we see this lady that suffered from rape or something, and we still keep getting flashbacks. So she wanted to kill herself, so she goes into the river, and the goddess had to save her. Probably because she's someone in distress, and she's not the person that the goddess will normally kill. So we see her saved, But this movie kept showing us a rape scene, and I felt like they were trying to show us something, and they just could not connect because again in the movie, I saw a floating body, and I was asking myself, did the goddess kill the perpetrator of this woman? But shy, there was a floating body, and the goddess went to bury the floating body. But I just could not find like a lot of connection. Although I saw the intention of the river goddess saving people, she saved the girl. Somebody have to take over when the river goddess goes back. I also did not understand why she accepted to become the new watcher of the Mystic River. I felt that she would have gone back and be wearing her joggers and be doing her thing. But I do appreciated that they were smoking weed or Igbo or they were smoking something in their trad wear. Yeah, so that was it for me. The connection was what let me down.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Cynthia. Vanessa, I see Hannah will come to you. We'll come to you because plenty people will say things, so you can address all of them together. I think after Cynthia, it was
It's
Mel.
Mel.
Yeah. Mel, if you tell us some of the things that didn't sit right with you.
Okay. Let me try to make this as cohesive as possible and coherent as well. But while I really like the premise, the idea of reimagining folk tales, I think there's something there. I especially think that there's always space for more juju on our screens. I just did not like that there were too many films that were not folk tales. And it's because before me have already talked about this Halima's Choice, Katera of the Punishment Island, which other one? I'm forgetting the list. I think that's about it. I think the other ones you could tell that there was a folk tale that it was drawing from, but and so my confusion was, why are we starting with these two that are not drawn from any folk tales? So after watching and I watched Halima's Choice first because represent. But after that, I wanted to watch it in order. So I went to watch Katera of the Punishment Island, and it was not a folk tale, and so I was very confused, and I immediately skipped to one. When I saw the thing about the jinn, I was like, let's try that because the jinn is part of folk tale. Anyway, my point is just I did not like that there were films that were not drawn from folk tales, and because I'm here for the folk tales, I'm not here for just random films. Um, women, women's empowerment, regardless. I was here for the folk tales. I didn't like that. What is something I didn't? I didn't like the acting in all of them apart from Enmity Jin. I thought that the acting left a lot to be desired. It just wasn't there for me. I really disliked acting in Anyango and the ogre. Like the kid was cute and bless his heart, but still the mother's acting. Oh boy. What else did I not like? I didn't like that a lot of it's what Elizabeth said. The thing about ambiguity. A lot of them were the word for me was actually confusing. Not a lot went into telling, again, this is drawing from what Elizabeth said, like a cohesive and coherent story. Katera of the Punishment Island just frustrated the hell out of me. Oh my god, I cannot even put it into proper words, just how frustrated I was because I just kept having questions and questions and questions. And the filmmaker is like, no, 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 no. Look at this really cool shot of somebody throwing a knife. Okay, do that. Look at it. Look at it. And I'm just like, but um same thing with, I think all the films had, they left there was, it seemed like there was a brief, and the brief was just make it as scant as possible with information, um, which is like just tell a good story and just tell a good story well is what I'm looking for really. But then just all the confusions, the thing about Katope, it was It wasn't my least favorite. My least favorite was Katera of the Punishment Island, but I think Katoke was right there as well, just because like nothing was clear. The molding of the child from clay. Oh my God! Like if I just went back to rewatch it on 1.5 of course, but I went back to rewatch it and like it is so unclear, and it's like it's this thing that Vanessa is saying. It sounds wonderful to hear, but I'm not seeing it on my screen. I am absolutely not seeing it on my screen. It's like it was just let us be the last shot of the mud in her hands could have really been used to drive home the point. We could have seen the mud dripping, and we could have seen it dripping from more parts of her body than her hands, but we just see mud sitting on her hands, and it's like, take that. And I'm supposed to take that as her returning back to the earth. And I don't know. It just, so much could have been done to, not even that much, just a few tweaks here and there could have been done to really drive home the point that she was molding a child. That thing in her hand did not look like a human form. It did not look like anything. It was a mass of clay, formless, pointless. But I'm supposed to take from that she formed a child? I'm so sorry. I did not take that. That's just a random baby's cry. And for me, it was just, I don't know, the way that I interpreted it was like, oh, she wants a child and she's haunted by just the stick that she wants. It could also just be her neighbor's child crying and she looks up and she's like, God, I beg, when is it going to be my turn? But Vanessa is like, no, 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 no. She has strong armed the gods by this time. I did not see that on my screen. I don't know what else to say. So I dislike the acting. I dislike that they weren't, not all of them were drawn from folk tales. I disliked the in your face women's empowerment. I disliked that a lot of all of them left you with questions. Um, I really enjoyed Enmity Jin. But even that left me with questions. I liked the challenge of the questions. So I thought that the questions they left me with were slightly different from the other films, but that could just be my bias speaking. But I liked the challenge of the questions. Was this woman Wali Allah, or what is she? Because there is space for people like that who have like supernatural power. Um, I think
Okay.
those are generally my dislikes, but I also wanted to echo something that Onikan was saying. Onikan, you resonated with me, this thing that you were saying about the UNESCO. It was always a red flag to me. So it definitely resonated with me because the question is like, who got to choose these films? Who decided what films would make it to our screen? Who decided what folk tales were worth reimagining? Whose reimagination was worth being platformed? There's just so many questions there. I was happy for the ride, but yeah, that's about it.
All right. Thanks, Mal. We will get to Pushback in a bit. I know Vanessa's blood is hot right now. As is mine, to be fair. Atas, I think.
Yeah.
Hi. So I will go in order of the movies that I liked in criticism. Mam Lambo, I thought could have been a little clearer, but it was my favorite story told on the screen. Katope, I think that there should have been some more connection between the story that was shown and the folklore of, molding the baby as well as her returning back to the earth. But it definitely is one of my favorites as well. um Ayango is tied with Katera. Ayango, I enjoyed the story itself of the ogre. um However, the acting was really, really bad. And even the story itself left a lot to be desired. I did not know if I was supposed to root for that woman or not. I wasn't sure how I was supposed to feel, I guess, for most of it. Is it a good thing that they went back to the village? I don't know. Why are they back in the village? Like, I don't. So that I didn't quite get. A younger type of Katera. Katera was a fun story. I thought it started out the strongest. it just really falls flat. And once you get through the action, everybody has said a billion times, it's not even just the knife throwing, it's the shooting of the gun, it's the execution of the plan, it's even what even was that plan, like the door was already locked, why did he run in front of bullets? But yeah, Jin was, I thought, had the better acting of the bunch. I just couldn't connect with it, but it was so beautiful to watch. Halima's Choice, I could not finish. I found it so boring. I don't know if it gets better, but I wasn't interested in finding out. So, yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting ranking. Mrs. C, some of the stuff you didn't like.
Okay. I'll start with Ayango. That was my least favorite of the bunch. I thought it was very much on the nose. The in partnership with UNESCO really came out to play there.
Yo.
And I think that was a bit more of a bummer because I thought it had some really good elements that could come together to make like a really cool story. But really all I got was this man is awful, and yes, it is better to be alone than to be with a man who hits you. Revolutionary. But yeah, although saying that, there was one thing I did like when he paused when he was hitting the kid to have his own flashbacks. I was like, oh my God, are we gonna? And then he just keeps hitting the kid. I'm like, all right, there we go. I thought that was a good touch to it. Then what else did I not like? Yeah, Katara. I feel like Katara is Katara and the Punishment Island. I think of the Punishment Island. I think that is also something else that had so much potential to be more. And I could see that Lukman was having fun with it. I really could see that he was having fun with it. That's why he moved from the Punishment Island to this whole big revenge plot with, you know, guns blazing and daggers throwing and all of that stuff. Because honestly, I feel like Katera's motivations were relatively easy to understand until we got to the point where we followed the guy to his office. Right? Like, her not being motivated to move when he was clearing out the island made sense. Her baby had died. Her trying to drown herself made sense. You know, like, okay, she wants to go back and save her mans. That makes sense. But then we start making sense of the motivation. And that just, it made everything else for me kind of go to shit. And I think Mr. C knows I'm a big about collateral damage. So I didn't really enjoy this guy who had saved her life out of no obligation and followed her on her revenge journey out of no obligation, die because he's listening to some dumb child make a dumb decision. So that kind of threw me for Katera. I feel like there really could have been more to Katera's story than just the revenge and the shootout. What else did I not like? I don't know. Oh yeah, this was my thing that I mentioned in the good, and I said it was a toss-up between both good and bad for me. It was a toss-up between both good and bad for me, was my lack of familiarity with the folk tales. I'm not familiar with a single folktale. I think some people have said that a lot of them are not folktales. I don't know enough to say that. I'm just working with the assumption that there are folktales that exist somewhere and I just don't know them. I do have, I think with Jin, I have some familiarity with Jin. I don't have familiarity with Jin, but yeah. But I schooled in Abuja, and I remember going on a school trip, and some of my Muslim classmates wouldn't touch Zuma Rock because of and I think there were like stories about it having a lot of jinn. So a few of my classmates wouldn't touch the rock when we climbed all the way to it. So I think I have that, background to like, oh, jinn is no bueno. But I think that was the extent of it. And I feel like, because this made me think of, I felt generally fine about this anthology, to be honest.
Your 5 minutes has passed.
Sorry, no vex, just a quick one. It made me think of Juju stories, and I thought this is just so much like better produced, right, than Juju Story. Production quality is just so much better. But I feel just so much more of an attachment to the stories in Juju Story because I know the stories. But yeah, that was it.
Well, the lore, I guess.
I know the lore, yeah.
Right. I mean, like, technically, Juju Stories could be called Nigerian Stories Reimagined, right? Because they're not the exact same thing. Anyway, all right. My one. Okay, so I can't remember the one, something and the ogre, whatever that one.
Triangle.
I think that's the only story I dislike. Like strong dislike, just rolling my eyes heavily at all of the on the nose OTT. Even the thing where he was about to flog him and then you see his scar. I'm like, oh, all right, it couldn't help itself. I just this one can't help itself with it felt more and so weird in the company in the company of the more things that are more abstract and just allow you to make certain connections yourself and like just allow you more room for interpretation. This one's just this, and it just feels a lot less interesting or less intriguing for that. So yeah, that was my least favorite. I didn't particularly everybody has talked about the last one, the South African one being a little less interesting. I also didn't like, that's the only one I didn't like, the colors to it. It might have been more tealy because they're dealing with water, the water goddess, and maybe they thought that's why it should have this little bit like this blue, this teal tint. It just was a bit more ugly for me to look at. What else? Generally speaking, I just some of these could have packed more of a punch, I guess. Some things, even like even with the things that maybe with the exception of what's it called? I want not to talk about it, but what's it called?
Katokwe.
Katokwe. That's with the exception of that one. I didn't. The other ones that I liked, I was like, that's what I got. Like, okay, I like that, and that's not a bad thing. I guess maybe at this point that might come a little bit more as nitpicking. But I didn't particularly get enough of a gut punch to go right. Yes, that's fantastic work. Halima's Choice. There's something in Halima's Choice that again is like exemplary of all the other things. Just felt flat. Like understand even like with I didn't actually think of it until Vanessa said the sort of people coming to mine you for data thing. But like it just feels and so what? Just because he's AI, right? Okay, so he came to mine for this. It's like it's just something we're very conversant about now. Like, okay, what else do you want to say to that? Because like everybody knows that's just, for me anyway, it feels like that's just common thing. Just saying the thing that we've all been saying for a while you're not really saying much. And I just didn't see the relation in her with her predicament or how she was going to sort of make you. I just don't know what was going on. I'm not sure what I was supposed to get with her. Halima's just feels unfinished or not quite all that way rounded up for me. As amazing as I thought all the production was, but yeah, that was my general just like more or less a lot of them lack the punch. But in terms of filmmaking, I enjoyed a lot of this. All right. Okay, so pushback section. Vanessa.
The Halima's Choice defender here. So I just want everybody to get me right. I'm not saying that any of these are perfect. I'm not saying Halima's Choice is perfect. I'm not saying they all said what they wanted to say the best way that they could say it. But I think what a lot of people are missing with Halima's Choice is the choice. It's the concept of choice, which is very clearly mentioned in the name. I think that's a major part of, I think that's the running theme in this, is the concept of choice and the ability to make your own choices. She was in a village where, regardless of her opinion on the outside world and all the tech things that were happening, it was already decided in her village that they were not going to be a part of Napata. Her future was already decided for her. A marriage to a man that she did not care for, like, or be interested in at all. And she wanted that choice back, which is why it ended the way it ended. Her not staying in Napata, but choosing to have that option for if she wants to, at another time, escape. Because at the end of the day, we all just want the ability to be able to make our own choices. And which is why, whether or not Umar chose to live with her, she still left. Which was why in that moment, her mother did not give the thingy, what's the round little thing? I can't remember what they called it in it, to her father or the chiefs or whatever. It's the reason why her mother left her alone with enough space to leave. Her mother was acknowledging that at some point this girl should be allowed to make her own choices. Maybe this is just me making inferences into what I watched, but I just genuinely think at the baseline of Halima's choice, whether or not it was executed perfectly, whether or not all the loose ends were tied, I think at the baseline of Halima's choice, all it is wanting to be able to make your own choices and being given the space and room to. And because she wasn't given the space and room to, she grabbed her choices by herself and made those opportunities available for herself by leaving and going on this path that she didn't know where it was going to lead. But this was a choice that she had made to step out of that protected environment that she had grown up in, where all the choices were going to be made for her. And the fact that she had that AI world in the back of her pocket, if things were going to get too hard for her to be able to escape to from time to time. Because at the end of the day, even with the data mining thing, right, you're saying they left that bit hanging. We still, at the end of the day, even now, with the knowledge that a lot of these apps that we have use some of our data in some of the weirdest ways, still choose to use these apps. Case in point, the Flow app that a lot of women have to use to monitor and track their monthly cycles. There's been so much, at least I know I've read about it, there's been so much in the news about how the people behind Flow app trade with our data. Data about our monthly cycles and our reproductive systems. But at the end of the day, millions of women around the world still use Flow and apps like Flow. Because at the end of the day, it's still a choice that we make. A choice to either participate in this technologically changing world. Even with AI and people doing those filter challenges sometime early in the month, and people were talking about how these people are basically giving up their data. At the end of the day, it's a subconscious choice that we all make. So all I'm saying is whether or not this was executed great, which was all sorts of agreed baseline that a lot of them had a lot of loopholes and weren't executed the best. I think with Halima's choice, at the end of the day, it's just about choice. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Vanessa, I didn't even disagree with any of the things you said. I just still find it uncompelling.
Honestly, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't have
yeah.
pushback to anyone who didn't feel, because at the end of the day, movies are supposed to make you feel, and these things are subjective.
Yeah.
And if you didn't
No,
feel compelled or drawn by a certain story, nobody's going to convince you to feel compelled or drawn by that story at the end of the day.
yeah, it's just like the part of choice just feels so I mean, like it just feels like, oh, when you wake up you have a choice to have breakfast or not. It's like, okay, yeah, no, I understand that, but okay, and it just feels like it just feels like as pedestrian, that's what, as mundane as that. It's like
I don't think
like
a
something
choice.
should
I
have
don't
been
think a
built on
choice
top of
to
it.
leave behind the life that that's all you've known is as pedestrian as choosing to have breakfast or not.
No, okay, no. But that part is very much implied almost from the start. She's clearly not happy with any of that, right? So like, I'm just wondering, like, why, like, what part the tech part of it has to do with anything.
The
It's like,
tech part is the stuff that's happening outside. Was it executed the best with connecting those two
yeah,
worlds? No.
okay,
But the tech part is what's on the
right,
outside. We already know that she
yeah,
knows about it and they know about it in their village, but she's interested in it and she's not like all the rest in their village not given a chance to explore that interest. And so the first chance that she gets, she does.
yeah, okay. I think then we agree. Well, at least we have a place where we agree to
Yes.
disagree.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah,
Korede is my guy.
mm. Yeah, no, I understand.
No,
I
but like
understand.
even if Korede wasn't my guy, I just feel like I'm with everybody else. Were these as gut punching and as impactful as they should have been? No. Maybe because not a lot of them were based on folklore. Um, but was this a good attempt? Yes. Ish. I'm
Okay.
not a huge fan. Honestly, I could have said more about Katera and the island because that revenge journey Pit really annoyed the hell out of me. But at the end of the day, I just see this. I don't know. This was a weird journey that all of them went on, and I didn't mind watching all 6 episodes. Is all I'm saying.
Okay. No, I get that. All right, Mel.
I don't have pushback. I just wanted to continue with some of my bads. The ones that I think just affected me the most. I want to. I'm good. We're launching off of Halima's choice because the world building. Where was it? Where was it? Like when you're doing sci-fi, one of the most important things you want to do is to think through the world, the mechanics of how your world works, push and pull factors, etc, etc, etc. And I didn't see any of that. How does the AI world work? That was very confusing to me because Umar says people uploaded themselves because of a shortage of food, because of farming, right? So how does that work? It's never explained. It's as if it's never thought about either, but it's never explained. When you go to the virtual world to eat, what happens to your physical body? When you see people have uploaded themselves, when we see Umar and Halima go to the virtual world, right? They go to a cave, they lie down or they sit down, they put that black mirror roundabout thing on their heads. And here's the question, right? At least in Black Mirror, you see that you have to go and get fitted for it. You have to go and implant something into your brain and have an outlet, and that's what that thing connects to. Halima, who has been living in this AI untouched world, shows up, takes it up, and plugs it straight into her brain. How? What are the mechanics of this technology? How does it work? How do you upload yourself? How does it work? It's not clear. It's not thought about. It's brushed over, ignored, just moved right on past it. Okay, back to the thing about the physical body, which is what makes Halima's choice unclear. Because what exactly is the choice that she has made? I know what she has chosen not to do, but I do not know what she has chosen to do. Because we see her in like this vast terrain, walking by herself, walking where we do not know. And it's so beautiful. And the way that I interpreted it was just one thing that Umar had said about the world being a dangerous place. And it seeming to me that Halima was choosing to go into this dangerous place rather than do these things that every other person was asking her to do. Nice. But we never really see her throw away the choice of going to Napata. We never see her throw the button thingy away. So is she holding on to it as an option, as Vanessa had said? She might be, but again, none of this is clear in the film itself. So it's just me and my brain. I'm just making up scenarios, right? Anyway, I'm going outside the point of world building. The mechanics of that world were very unclear, and it's the first thing you should do as you're creating, if you're trying to do sci-fi, or if you're trying to do fantasy, you have to be clear. How do these things work? So where are the bodies? Yes. So when they're sitting down, they put the button thing in their head. Where are the bodies of the people who've uploaded themselves? But when you even say the word, oh, they uploaded themselves, like that's just it infers. Does it infer? No. There's a word for it, but like it means it the meaning attached to that means that it's like a process, right? You go to a room, you sit down, you're like, yes, let's do it, like that. Real. What was the name of that episode? I forgot the name of the episode. With the lesbian women, who met in a virtual world. You're like, yes, let's do it. And there's a computer, and they do and your brain gets uploaded, right? That is what That's what I hear. That's what I see when I hear the word upload. The mechanics of this world just they don't make sense. They also don't exist. My other issue was the hero's journey of Katera. Oh God. Oh God. How do we move on from this young child who is timid and afraid and wants to die to this terror who is like shooting a gun against this man who's been in the military forever, by the side of this man who's been in the military forever? Like, what was that journey? How do we go from this girl not knowing anything to being this saver, this solution, this world breaker? It made no sense. Like heroes' journeys by themselves, they're problematic, especially in the ways that they've been used in the past. And the transition has been to create more, I guess, more grounded stories where you actually see progress, where you actually see them learn. How long has this girl been on that island with that woman and her son that she's learned to throw a knife, learns to shoot a gun, and is so good she can take on this military man? Like, it doesn't make sense. But also, it's just in well, it doesn't make sense from the film itself. But if you think about it in terms of just men love to tell the stories, don't they? They love to have a super powerful woman, and they don't care how they get that woman there, because a very reasonable very reasonable resolution could just have been staying on this island with this woman who's built a life because she escaped, and doing the thing that the woman's son does: go to that island, pick up the girls, take them to where this woman is, build a life together. It's You've heard that version of the story a million times because it's the one that makes the most sense. But this guy shows up, her ex shows up and says, oh, your father is dead. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna take over the world. I have 2 days to do it. Oh my God, no. So those were some of my bigger issues. World building, and the world building thing, it wasn't just the Halima's Choice thing. It was also like in many other films, the world building wasn't thought through properly and kept showing up. That's why we had questions. And then just that very strange, very weird hero's journey that I hated with all my life. That's it.
All right, thanks. I think there's one thing. Well, in defense of Katera, I think Mrs. pointed out that she had rebelism in her blood because she wanted to. She was gonna be with.
She's gonna run away instead of just getting married.
Yeah, and also like I think the loss of her child was quite a was her turning point for her. So yeah, but like
No,
I
of
think
course it was.
they
I
could
can
have done
see
with a
that. And
montage.
just like how she moves on from this, but things
You said
happen to
something
you
about
and
you
you
said
have a rage and you're angry, right? But how do you move on from not just having this anger to being able to work on this anger? That's what I'm saying. She goes from being this angry, hurt person to like legitimately like overturning her community in like a day. That's what the problem is. There's no point where there's no time that we give her to learn to be this other person. So she just goes from anger. Like anger doesn't make you adept at shooting guns. It does
yeah.
not.
I was going to say and I thought they were going to do this. I thought we were going to have a montage because,
training montage.
yeah, I mean, like it seems so silly, but that's kind of how people get from from not good at something to really good at the other thing. And I guess one and this pushback is I guess is for Katope. It is yeah, just generally, I guess a lot of us just well, I say a lot of us, at least me, Miss and it seems Vanessa, we saw molding of baby. We saw the baby sort of hand melting and sort of going almost back to. I thought that it's so poetic in this way where like it's almost like dust to dust, but kind of I guess mud back to mud. But yeah, I thought there was even without going specifically at the details of any particular thing, I thought that was it did so well. It's the most beautifully shot as well for me, and really well acted from Kataba's mom. I guess like if you don't see it, you don't see it, but like it's I don't know. Maybe it's weird saying it's unclear because, like, even the voiceover is helping you so much, telling you what's going on at that beginning, at the beginning. But yeah, that's my pushback for that. All right, I will come to you in a bit, but I do know I've raised something that some people might want to touch on. But we'll go Oyinka first.
Okay, so the Katope pushback, I am willing to give it because I did see mud. I didn't know that mud at the end was meaning that she was dying, but I'm willing to give that in. I still think there's way too much the spectacle. I still am not that very something with that spectacle of the whole something. Like it's not that they show it that is a problem. It's how very much focused on it, and because it's UNESCO, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the UNESCO thing. Kind of caught me off with the spectacle. My criticism in that still stays. It is still very very like not easy to sometimes understand for people that I was paying attention as well. But I'm willing to give that like yeah, okay, but just to move on to something a little bit more. I personally don't think films should. I've said it over and over again. Films are not real, so I don't necessarily need them to have some really really solid logic of something. So I don't have no problem with like how magical things happen very quickly. Like I see why people get that. I see that, but like I'm willing to ignore it. I'm willing to very much ignore it in movies because I'm going for the themes and what they want to tell me in the movie. And because this theme, this I will say this one thing. I remember one time I was looking up pictures of old Kano, of like Asian Kano before something, right? And then I saw this artistic reendurance of like what they believe old Kano was like. And it was a bunch of little like what's it called? Sphinx everywhere and like kind of was it old Kano or Benin? I think it was supposed to look like Benin. No, it was Benin City, old Benin City. And I was just shocked because that's not what old Benin City looks like. It's just it's something that I see a lot of people that are like Afrocentrics or Afrocentric or something. They always have this very very distorted version of history, very very distorted that gives them. And I understand where it comes from, and it gives them validation. I say this because this is kind of like that. There is something very exotic about it, exotification about it. It's aesthetics, it's just aesthetics. And I don't mind it. There are many things in this world is just aesthetics and to give us validation. And then it's mad with, okay, women's rights. So let's just get all this UNESCO women's rights because we know what developmental women's rights is very much against about when it comes to Africa. Women's rights and preserving African culture, right? By African culture, they really mean whatever. Okay, the first one, Lukman Ali. Like I say, yeah, like Jerry Bruckheimer, you see Lukman Ali's ways of doing movie in it. Cool. The woman's right is that the woman goes to kill the guy. How is this woman's right? How? How does that help women? What is this supposed to be empowering for women? Like everybody has said, like, oh, that woman is dead. And she has to be some superhero sort of person. It's very individualistic. That's nice. That's cool. Let's put that there. Alima's choice. Alima gets to be, it's a virtual world, guys. It's a virtual world. It's not real. Alima's choice. What choice does she have? A choice between people, between things that, between our parents or our family, our father that controls every single thing of our life, and a virtual world that is not real. But the hero, something that she's supposed to get is but it's implied that the virtual world is better. And the guy goes in there to make it look more real. To make it look more real, meaning it's not real. It's not a real choice. It's not a real cure. It's not a real anything. It's your validation. That's number one. What's the other after Alima's choice? What Ogre, something and the Ogre, right?
Wait. Okay. Are you going through all of them again?
I'm going to be very quick. I have to say, I'm going to be very quick, please. I'm just pointing out how like this thing is not really empowerment something. Okay, she goes back to being poor because you know what? When you're poor, you're happy because that poverty people don't have food to eat, don't have anything or anything, all those things. Again, how is this woman empowerment? How are you really fixing the issues? Okay, this is why I like the in MTG. She actually fixes a problem, and the problem is not systematic something issue. So let's skip over that. The Olga people, the Olga thing. Oh, I've already mentioned that one. Let's skip over that. Katope. It's very exotified. She dies. Like she dies. She has the power. The woman forces and tries the power. How is this woman empowerment? What is this supposed to be saying? I don't get it. Oh, she makes a great sacrifice, and it's also upon that. That would have been a better something if it was like a feature-length story where we can actually have a characterization for this person that is not necessarily some sort of exotification, and the exotification dancing thing is not the focus spectacle. Instead, it will be the story. It will focus on like the person making the grand sacrifice. Wrong. The other one too, the South African, is that after that one is the South African one. I don't get it. This is I don't know who this is made for. I guess the directors made film to submit to UNESCO. And UNESCO probably said, make it about culture, about African culture and women's rights. And so we can now package it and sell it about Africa. And put it with Netflix because we're working with Netflix and it's going to be another exotification, had something about Netflix. And look, aren't we making a difference? That is my critique of this. It is just aesthetic. It is very surface level. It is wonderful to watch. Talented directors, wonderful. But am I going to watch this again? That is my big issue with this. It's not even the story. It's not even all that. All those things are normal, whatever. My big issue with this is that specific thing. I just have it. And that's it. I healed my time.
All right. Okay. A lot of time has been taken. We just go to Dabala. Then we'll start doing summary. Mel, you can say what you want to say in your summary. Damala, what stuff do you have? Late, good, bad. What's going on? Damala, are you there? All right, let's just pivot into summary. Mel, you can start us off, and then you can whatever you wanted to say, and then
Can't even
yeah.
remember when my hand was up. I think it was most likely something you said that I wanted to push back on, but I can't remember now. Anyway, I loved the idea of it. I loved that we got to see multiple cultures reflected. I loved how short it was. I really truly enjoyed the ride. I did. I just hope that moving forward, just this thing that Oyekan just said resonates so deeply with me. So I hope that moving forward we can be more careful about the messaging that we're passing across and why indeed we need to pass this messaging, and we can be honest. There's nothing I dislike more than dishonest art. So we can be honest and authentic about the stories we're telling, the things we're trying to say, rather than just saying it because it scores us good points or whatever, or it's an ideal that we've made up in our minds. Yeah, but I like the right execution, story wise, disliked that, but it was really nice, especially Halima's choice. God, when I finished, I was just like, wow. It was really nice to see production that was like really good looking, no ADR, no mic packs. I think maybe there was one, um, but it was really nice to see just like technically well done, visually stunning. But like again, let's sit with these stories.
All right. No, I can't. I definitely understand that feeling. All right, Fi either.
Yeah. Okay. Summary. So I like the concept of African folktales retold with their own twist. I think it was Halima's choice that misled me to think all the films had an element of technology with folklore. So that detail on its own was a letdown. But I enjoyed more films than others, and I do love watching an anthology of short films. So my top three. Three, we have Halima's Choice, and that's because the AI touch within the northern community was a nice storyline to explore. I like the introduction of that concept. I do agree I would have loved more technical details into it as well. Two, and Mitty Jin. Love the story of the Jin, the breakdown of how it worked and how it could be defeated, the imagery, cinematography, the grandmother's acting, and the use of the baby to defeat the Jin at the end all over again. I loved it especially because it was my first film. It was my first film by a Mauritanian director. Last one, number one, Anyango and the Ogre. I loved it because of the son's acting. The moment where the father stares in the mirror and is given the opportunity to make a different choice but doesn't. And the juxtaposition between the story of the ogre and the children's reality. I love the movement and clarity that came from leaving the blue zone for the grey zone. And I just liked the creativity with the ogre. Overall, I enjoyed watching the films, apart from Mango. Sorry about that. Yes, I would have loved more depth in most of the stories. But as I said, I like the cinematography generally, apart from the last because I didn't really watch it. And I especially like the shots of the location. That was really good. And that's my summary. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Fi. Worth mentioning, you can give your rankings. If you can't do all six, top three works. Oyinka?
Okay. I think it's wonderful. It is wonderfully done. You get to see the work of a bunch of directors and cinema and just people working in cinema. Beautiful. You can see the passion that went into it, and you should watch it for that. If you, again, I'm not going to, if you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't want to watch it, it's your choice. My top three, number one, Any Meeting Jim. Wonderful. Straightforward story. Good. Number two, it's actually between Alima's Choice and the first episode. That one is just a fun ride. Ride it to have a fun ride with it. Alima's Choice, beautiful, like just beautiful, a little bit colorful. And number three will be Inyango and the Yoga. It is very explicit. It is mainstream. It doesn't do too much of the artistic something. And I think people will clearly know what's going for and what it's saying. So those are the three ones that I think did one well, that I liked, I liked. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Anika. Elizabeth.
So I would say for this particular project, I'll say that it was seeing like a really good cinematography. Like everybody said, the production was really tight. I enjoyed it. I was very happy to see that. Um, okay, so on to the it's most so for me because I mean I get that they are based on laws, right? And there was none that was actually there was none that stood out to me. While I had not seen any of these folklores or folktales before, I was just going with the ride. So I think that for me was a bit of a bummer. Like I thought I would recognize one, but yeah, I will take it. Um, but generally, so top three for me would be Nitty Jean. I really, really love it so much. Like I do like it. Like I said, it was a callback to old Nollywood, but without the bad sound and horrible pictures for me. Like the old take on good versus evil. I like that. Again, thematically, that's another thing that I choose. Like I'm choosing this based on the themes that I can recognize and themes that I resonate with. So the good versus evil was very clear. Second will be Ayango and the Ogre. I really like this too. It might be on the nose, but let me tell you, this is the most mainstream and entertaining short in that. I don't care what anybody say. It was very clear. You're not confused. The messaging may be, a bit poor, as the Oyinkon mentioned. Yeah, because it really just condemned single women to a life of gloom. But then still, you get it, you're entertained within the confines of the world that has been created and juxtaposing with the lore that already exists, even though I've never heard that before too. And the third one for me would be between Katope and Alima's Choice. Katope, even though I still insist that it is ambiguous, and that is in the filmmaking, the story, in the visual storytelling. Prior to, I mean, there was a lot of the dialogue that was being dropped that maybe was also misleading me and then confusing me with what was being shown on screen. And I was like, you know what, I threw my hands. But I really love it. I love the visual representation. I love the acting. I love the choices taken for the cinematography and the camera angles and how the director decided to show us what he wants to show us, or she. For the one that ties it, the Alima's Choice. For me, I think my own interpretation of the theme is traditional versus modernity. Although Alima didn't make any choice at the end, and I don't know why she decided to go her own way, which is the third choice. But good luck to whatever is in the middle of modernity and tradition. And that's it for me. The rest, yeah, I slept, guys. That's it. Bye.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Vanessa.
Hi, sorry
So,
I disappeared because I was on a call. This is summaries, yeah?
yes, after a summary, do ranking top three if you come to top six.
Okay. Top six, that's gonna be hard. Summaries. All in all, I guess the premise of this is nice. I want more Pan-African collaboration on a whole. Not necessarily an anthology series, but I just enjoyed, seeing the way different people told different stories that from their different cultures. Yeah, all in all, it was nice. Rankings. I'm trying to get through this because I might get back on the call. Rankings. Top three. My favorites. Everybody, you people know I'm biased. Top three. Number three, Halima's Choice because Corey. See me, you people. I'm shameless about this. I love Corey. I support Corey. I actually liked it. So yeah, Halima's Choice number three. Then next is Katope because I really liked it and I will defend it from here till tomorrow. And then number one in my top three ranking is Enmity Jin. It was just a beautiful visual feast. I really enjoyed the storytelling in that. The fact that the Jin had a worthy adversary in the grandma. So yeah, Enmity Jin is my favorite overall. Then my top 6 ranking of everything. Number 1, Enmity Jin. Number 2, Katope. Number 3, Halima's Choice. Number 4, oof. Wait, wow. Eesh. The remaining 3, I don't know how I feel about them. Do I put Anyango and the Ogre above Katera and of the Punishment Island? I don't know. I think Katera of the Punishment Island was not as on the nose as Anyango and the Ogre, so maybe Katera of the Punishment Island will be number 4, even though I genuinely deeply dislike that unnecessary revenge plot. I don't know. We've not seen that story told, but we've heard it because it's the best. I genuinely have just enjoyed, like Mel, seeing Katera just do whatever his face is. The guy who got her off to the separate village with his mother and just rehabilitate and grow with all these other women. That would have been a much more enjoyable story to tell and a much more realistic one. I don't know. So Katera of the Punishment Island will be number 4. Number 5 will be Anyango and the Ogre. Mainly because for 75% of Mlambo I was asleep. So Mlambo from South Africa is number 6 on my list and number 6 on the episodorial thingy. So I guess it was meant to be. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Thanks for that. Cynthia.
Oh yeah, so in summary, I did enjoy seeing these creators from different African countries write a story to tell us what they think it means to reimagine African folktale. Yeah, so in ranking of my top 6, my first is going to be Ayonga and the Ogre. You people's problem with on the nose is your business. My second is Enmity Jin. I've already said why I love it. My third is Katope. My fourth is Alima's Choice. My fifth is Katera. And my sixth is Mamlambo, mainly because I'm hot. I'm very disappointed on how they did not connect the folktale that they were trying to tell. And finally, because this is a UNESCO competition, I kind of feel like the other two that were not folk tales, Katera, The Punishment of the Island, and Alima's Choice, I probably expect in submitting a competition for grants, they had like maybe keyword on implication significance, and they used AI and a revenge story of a woman to convince and get in. I was still not impressed on how they delivered it.
All right. Thanks, Cynthia. Mrs. C, what's your ranking?
So I don't know if I should start my ranking from the top or from the bottom. Yeah, summary, Sif. Okay. Summary. Overall, I did like the project as a whole. Would I rewatch? I would definitely rewatch some stories for sure. I think we should do more shorts, I've said. And I think they shouldn't shy away from being abstract and out there, especially in a confined project. And I don't. Anyway, yeah. So there's that. I really enjoyed some of the scenery in this film and the shots, and a lot of things were painting really pretty pictures, and I thought that was great. And I think everyone has talked about Enmity Jin, and there was so much beauty in that. And I thought Katope was poetry. I felt like I was watching poetry. So yeah, my rankings will be number 1, Katope, of course. Let me start from the bottom because my 1, 2, 3, 4 are a bit tricky. My least favorite is oh god, I've forgotten what it's called again. South African one. That's my least favorite.
Yoga.
Oh no. I put the other one at the bottom. No, Anyango and the Yoga is my least favorite. Sorry. Yeah, that it was very much on the nose. Sorry, guys. It was. I think Oyinkan said Katope was like, here, look at African culture, UNESCO. It was Anyango and the Oga that was UNESCO, women's rights, and obviously, I'm all for women's rights, but
are you?
I do believe in women's rights and women's wrongs, but Anyango was no, and it had so much potential to be more. And then Malambo next. Was it Malambo? That's what it's called?
Yeah, Malambo.
Malambo was next. So for my number 2, 3, 4, they can be a little. No, 4 is going to be Katera of the Punishment Island. Oh, she has bounced around a bit with that film, but it's going to be number 4. Yeah, I wasn't feeling the revenge journey. I felt I understood the rescue journey, but I wasn't feeling the revenge arc at the end. It was just not it. Then number 3 will be Halima's Choice. I did enjoy Halima's Choice. I'm with all of you that have said I don't really feel like she made a choice at the end of it. I mean, for me, I think my problem with it was I felt like the synopsis was misleading. They say she turns to what's the name of the AI world? She turns to the world for help, Napata. She turns to Napata for help. But I didn't see her actually turning to Napata for help. With her dilemma or her situation, she left. That was what she did. So I did feel like she made a choice. She made a choice. She left. But yeah, what was my thing with Halima's Choice? Yeah, I felt like the synopsis was a little misleading with that one. I don't really mind that they didn't go too much into the details. I did have the questions. I did ask what happens to the bodies when they go to the AI world, but then I didn't care because I don't think the AI world was the point, right? I don't think that was the story. The mechanics of how that world works, I don't think that was the point. I think the point was this girl living in this world, right? And we see the background of it. We see, because I was telling Mr. C today that, yeah, I'm sure if something like that happened, like religious people would lose their shit. A good portion of religious people would lose their shit. And it's like, oh, it's unnatural. Humans cannot create their own heaven. And all of that going on, which I thought, yeah, I did like that. Also, I liked hearing them speak Hausa and all of that. My second is Enmity Jin. I thought there was so much that was very beautiful, but what I can't get out of my head is in the desert when the little baby has like slashes on her face and is fascinated by the jinn. I mean, something has gone on, right? The whole area has been destroyed and this baby has just lived through something traumatic and still maintaining all of that innocence and hasn't learned to fear. And that was just kind of beautiful. And then Katope, of course, I thought Katope was beautiful. I thought you could draw so many interpretations of it. Just thematically, you could draw a line of sacrificing yourself for your community, making that choice to put the greater good before yourself. So I thought Katope was really interesting. So yeah, that's my ranking. That's my summary. Watch it and all of that jazz.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, just in general, I feel like one of the things to get right off the bat is that in talking about this, I feel like I'm treating it like an adult. So my criticism of this would be similar to the criticisms I feel like I would make of a film I would see of Netflix. I'm not leaving off, bad sound, or I've seen the mic packs or the boom mic drop in. I don't have to. This has come in with respect, and it looks like that's because a lot of money was pumped in. Which, okay, I don't know. That's not my concern. My concern as a consumer is to just go, this thing is, in terms of production quality, is quite high. My ranking would be Anyango and the Ogre at number 6. I just dislike that. And it's just I think as bored as I was for Mamlambo, I felt almost insulted watching Ayanga and the Ogre. Mamlambo is number 5. Halima's Choice at 4. It just felt a little flat for me. I remember there's a point where she like eats a garden egg and she's like, "Oh, it's sweeter," but she doesn't like garden eggs. And I'm sure there was a point to that. It's just part of I don't know. It's just part of the lots of things where how does this tie in? I'm not sure. At number 3, Katera of the Punishment Island. I actually thought that was fun. I thought the end was a little loose, but it kind of reminds me of a little bit of like Mad Max, Fury Road, where like the women sort of who have been like set aside for sort of in Fury Road is they've been set aside for reproduction, but like those women just get their revenge. There's something kind of interesting about that. But like the ending, like I said, I think I could have tied it better. Also, like, when you push, I don't know, whatever she pushed into the water, it's not, I mean, like things generally weigh less in the water because of the gravity. Anyway, yeah, that ending just has a bunch of issues for me. Enmity Jin is, I think I could swap this up there with my number 1, but it's very atmospheric. I really, really like a lot of it. I said I could have seen this without any subtitles, even though I don't speak the language, just because I thought the visuals were so strong, and the performance of the Jinn was very good. When the baby was doing its thing at the end, I really liked how it communicated that in the acting. And number 1, Takatakwe. I don't know whether it's because it's the shortest and just does so much with such little. Like that one doesn't waste a second of your time, and I think it just sort of said exactly all the things he wanted to say, and I enjoyed that one a lot. All right, okay. So next weekend, thanks for all the people who's come through and speaking. That was it's a little longer than usual, but I thought, given the different stories, it's not too bad. Next weekend, I think it's the Jade's Prime Videos original, our first Prime Video Nollywood original. So we will be discussing that. That should be interesting. Anybody who like Brotherhood and I guess The Trade should look forward to that. They should take the best aspects of both Brotherhood and The Trade, because this is written and directed by Jade, but also she has finished this work, unlike with The Trade. So looking forward to that. I imagine there's going to be some fun set pieces to discuss if it's Jade, but that's what we will be discussing next week. But thanks for everybody come on, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday, 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.